What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Happy week.
Happy week to you too.
I was gonna say happy Monday, but
We're recording this on Monday.
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. How's that feel?
Off.
Right out the gate? You're right out of the blocks? Pow!
Came in disheveled.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Disheveled.
Yeah.
And then I had to, of course, I have my morning routine, which consists of coffee and pooping.
Yeah.
And so I was
The morning routine that happened at 11:02.
still morning.
Yeah. Like, yeah,
morning time.
you're knocking on the
morning
door,
show.
though.
You know, if we're just not going to deal with everyone else's complaints, we're going to roll with that shit.
Good point over there. The pure one, Tim
To
Gettys.
somebody. Let Tim host.
I like your blue shirt.
Thank
on
you.
brand today.
Thank you.
And then joining us for the first time on the Game Over Greggy show, on any official produced Kind of Funny video, Tonedeff, star of Kind of Funny Live 1 and 2. Rapper extraordinaire. How are you?
Happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here.
Tone, I want you to know I like you a lot. You know that. We've hung out at the Kind of Funny Lives at 1 and 2.
Yes.
There's always, every Kind of Funny live, there's a point where I'm terrified of you. And it's when you go out on stage for a mic check and you take no shit from anyone in the arena. Yeah. You get up there and you immediately get on, you're like, what's up? I need this monitor's higher here, blah, blah. You get down in front of them like you're the monitor, I'm you. And you're like, I need it up. I need it. Francesca, I need it up. And I'm always like, oh my God, is Tone mad, Tim? Is this what he's always like? I don't know. Which one's the real Tonedeff?
You definitely have a way of waking up the sound guy.
Oh my God.
There's always, because like every time you go to these venues, like you'll be doing rehearsals and stuff like that, especially for the shows that we do, it's not really that, like, we're not really worried too much about the sound in that regard. And then you get the guy, like, you'll always see the guy will kind of be a little lackadaisical, maybe he's falling asleep in his pudding back there, and you get on stage, and that guy is fucking like,
Oh God, as a professional, as somebody who knows what I'm supposed to do.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, when you do shows in like bumblefuck towns all around America and the world,
like San
and
Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, hey, and there's always like some dude who was like in a cover band in the 80s and he just like failed to get his dream going and he's balding and this was the best job he could get around music. I have to be on top of them, otherwise I will sound like I'm rapping through a fucking, you know, an in-ear monitor for a grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do know what you're saying.
So yeah, I apologize if I come off a certain way.
Not at all. No.
But nah, dude, I've had some brutal scenarios. I've blown out hearing because of like bad monitor situations, and the last thing you need is for me to actually live up to my actual rap name. I don't. I want to preserve my hearing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
So, of course, Kind of Funny Live 2, available right now, patreon.com/kindoffunny. Available if you support us at any level there, free in February. I think you're doing the February Game Over Greggy exclusive with Tone, right?
Yes.
Which will cover his career.
Yes, that's more of a one-on-one.
But in a nutshell, Tonedeff, if somebody doesn't know you, who are you and what do you do?
I am an alternative hip hop artist. Basically, I try to make music that would be on par with, you know, stuff like Radiohead or M83
Michelle
or
Branch.
Michelle Branch. Anything off the Geely soundtrack. You know, and yeah, I'm always just trying to like push myself really hard in order to kind of make the most technical rhymes and also the most genuine feeling songs, because I feel like the genre itself is sort of stagnant in a lot of ways, so I'm constantly pushing it in every possible way I can. So if you're a fan of dudes like, you know, Eminem or you know, Tech Nine or
Tech Nine or Strange Music,
yeah, or Common, that would probably be like if those dudes rapped over M83 and like synthwave.
Gotcha.
At this point, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Awesome.
You know what I'm saying? So check it out.
All right, cool. Check it out on Kind of Funny Live. Check it out in the exclusive February or the bonus episode. Not in 2017 bonus episode. That'll go live in March for other people to see.
And most of you are already familiar. Actually, all of you are already familiar with his music because he has done. I've used instrumentals he's made for pretty much all of Kind of Funny's show theme songs. So the theme song to this show is a song called "Kilt It" by Pac FM that he produced.
Would you please stop copyright striking us on YouTube for the
It's not my fault.
You son of a bitch!
It's not my fault. It's a fucking whatever that bot is. I hate that thing.
And all the other songs too, whether it's reacts or
Love and Sex Stuff.
Love and Sex Stuff, definitely.
That's the one a lot of people know. That's one my brother always sings every time he does anything, he'll call me and be like, "Love," you know, he does that.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, Matt, what's up?"
And more, you know, I think most importantly is like He's like your hero.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Like when you talk about you're collecting pennies to go down and see these guys play in LA, it was him, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. I mean,
So everybody knows Tone, even if
yeah.
you
The
don't know.
story you've heard me talk about him so many times, but I mean, it's an honor to have you here. I think it's super cool to be at a point now that we get to work together. The reason you're here is we're shooting a music video for Lucy Camp, an artist that is on your new label Quintic. That video will be coming out soon-ish. Don't want to put dates because you know how we do when we have dates.
Are we editing it though?
I'm editing it.
Oh God!
Oh no! Oh my
So it'll
goodness!
be out in the next month.
By January 5th, 27 or 18th. No, anyways, it's super awesome. She's a really talented artist. You should check her out. But yeah, this is super cool to be able to do. And I've said so many times, whether it's that kind of funny live or just in the many topics where heroes come up or role models or music you like or whatever, you come up a lot.
Okay.
But you're definitely an inspiration to me and what we do and how we push things, and not just kind of funny live, but all of our content in general. So
Wow.
Thank you for that.
I appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and to just be a part of something that you helped create. Is fucking. It's pretty cool. It's pretty incredible.
Also, sorry.
Son of a bitch, that was gonna be a great
You're going
transition.
right into the-
Because I was gonna go. If
Yeah.
you didn't know, here is the game.
Yeah, I liked that. But how cool is the studio? Because last time you were here,
It was
Tonedeff
empty.
was one of, I think he was the only person besides like our parents that were in the studio before it turned into this.
Yeah, he was here when we were rehearsing for Kind of Funny Live too.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I think he saw us dance before anyone else.
I have
and
a
laughed at
video
it.
clip of that.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we have that video somewhere. I think you
I
have
got it all. I have all
But
the
yeah,
rehearsal
we
footage,
should
yeah.
insert that at the appropriate time in
So
the appropriate place.
because he was here when this was a empty room with
Yeah.
nothing in it. So it's
Yeah.
It
pretty
was just an echo chamber. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
But
it's
no,
awesome.
this
It's a
is
little
incredible.
ugly.
cool. Yeah.
I'm able to fix that.
It's a little overwhelming actually, but it's cozy in a weird way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like it. We like it a lot.
I'm digging it.
It's very functional.
It's home. Now, Tim, do I have your permission?
Oh, take it away, Greg.
If you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy show, and today the Patreon producer is none other than Michael Trees. Thank you for your support on patreon.com/kindafunny. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bringing a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, you can head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, toss us a few bucks, and get cool perks like Michael did, or get to see Kinda Funny Live 2 early before it goes live in February, or just do whatever and support people and get the shows early and do all that jazz. But if you have no money to toss our way, it's no big deal. You can wait and head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we put up the whole show, topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big video, an MP3. I knew you were going to make some reference to my coffee stain there. I was very excited when we were talking earlier. What are you writing? You writing little notes on it?
He's turning it into a bunny.
Oh, he's turned into a butt. Tim,
That's fucking
we'll get to Skycam. We'll get to Skycam.
Skycam.
Skycam. There you go, Kev. Kev's shaking
Kev's
off.
working on the Skycam.
All right, hold on. Don't worry. It's all you have to do is hit. There it is.
we go.
He drew the Starbucks butt. He drew the Starbucks butt there. There it is.
Oh, that's amazing.
Tim, what's your topic?
My topic is my trip to New York that
Oh!
I just took days ago. That at this point, I don't even know when one night ended and when the other began.
Sure.
Because me and Kevin went to New York for the Nintendo Switch event.
Mm-hmm.
I got to play it. You can hear all about that on next week's Gamescast, or this week's Gamescast. By the time you hear this, time works weird. So me and Kev went to New York to play this thing, and a lot of things happened. It was the trip to end all trips, I
Wow.
would say. So Kev and I never traveled, just the two of us, right? This was kind of a first for Kinda Funny to send us out. Usually there's like different configurations of teams that'll go out. It'll be me and Greg, or
Yeah.
me and Nick, or Greg and Colin. And Kev's usually support, and he'll just go. This is the first time the kids are out to play.
Oh, sure,
You know
sure,
what I mean?
sure.
We can do whatever the fuck we want. Chaos will ensue.
Lots of pizza.
And oh my Lord, did chaos ensue. We'll get to that.
I knew it wouldn't happen. I knew you'd fuck it up, you idiot.
We fucked up pretty bad.
Stupid moron.
We fucked up at every
Jesus Christ.
turn of this trip in a way that I didn't even think was possible. And now it's interesting we're doing a topic about New York without Colin here, but we do have Tonedeff, who
I
has
live
lived
there.
in New York for
I've been there now for almost 20 years.
yeah. So you're familiar with a lot of the
So
shenanigans.
you've had pizza there.
I've had
Before.
too much pizza there. That's fine. I don't know if you can tell, but it's I need to work that shit off.
All right. Let's just start off with this trip.
Yeah.
So, you guys, I'm not holding anything back. There's going to be some things you guys hear that you're not going to like, but I'm going to tell you anyways.
Okay.
So, this whole thing starts off, we're like looking at our flights, and I'm kind of bummed because our flight's on Alaska Airlines. And we're like, oh, man, fucking Alaska, ruin our days. I don't know if you know this, Tone. We're big Virgin fans.
Okay.
We love that Virgin America.
Virgin America, you might have heard us talk about it.
I
It's
think
like the airline,
Yes.
right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that
Not
yeah.
the mega stores.
Gotcha.
So, Alaska bought Virgin recently,
Okay.
fucking up our days. Totally. Like, we're really upset about this. Nothing bad has happened yet, but
I was gonna say, it's really fucked up our days. Like,
But I mean,
my stock went up. I was like, hey.
this totally fucked up our days.
Well, I haven't gotten to that part yet. I don't
Yeah,
know
but
this one.
anyway, so we know that eventually we're gonna get fucked.
Sure.
So I was already not excited about this. I'm looking at my thing. It says Alaska, and I'm super bummed about it. I'm like, God damn it! Need to freaking go cross country in Alaska. First world problems. This is what I complain about. So Kevin and I getting our Ubers, separate Ubers, heading over there, and I'm like, I'm giving myself enough time. Like I've flown many times. Right.
Uh-oh.
I'm good at.
I don't
this.
like where this story's going.
And like I'm not gonna go 10 hours early like Nick.
Nick time, babe.
Like Nick just fucking Nick loves just being at airports.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it.
Why?
Because I don't know.
Okay.
Here's the deal.
I'll take that.
It stems from the fact that at IGN we used to go on so many trips that required gear that it was always a pain in the ass to get the gear either through security or if it was an international trip, you'd have to go get what's called a carnet form, which was you'd have to find whatever fucking small hole in the wall this form was generated on our side, and then you'd have to submit that form on the other little hole in the wall on the other side of the world.
Jesus.
And most of the time, they didn't know what the fuck it was, or they didn't have the stamp for it, or whatever, and your
Right.
gear would get held up in customs. And so it was always a pain in the ass. And so I learned after the first like fucking 10 times of almost missing flights because these people are like, "Is this a camera? Yeah. I don't know what it does."
no, it's a Starbucks cup.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
I'm fat.
but you know they'd stamp it. So after a while, I'm like, look, I'm just gonna get to the airport like at least 2 hours early, and then I would get through the security. And then, granted, if you get through the security line, like, you know, in 10 minutes, you got an hour and a half. You sit there, you just answer emails, read, get a cup of coffee,
Fight
relax.
for the
It's very-
outlets.
I mean,
hate
I don't
everything.
need outlets because I have a phone that's so old it doesn't work anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Honestly,
enough,
at the
fair
core of this, Tone, on why Nick likes airports so much is that the one thing Nick values above all else is consistency. So when you go there and he can get his Starbucks and get his protein meal with the little fucking hard-boiled egg and he's just happy as a pig in shit because it just
$30 on eggs, that sort of thing.
every airport you go
Consistently.
to is the same airport, so
Yeah.
he's stoked.
Yeah, it's a matter of just like de-stressing, right? I love flights. I like being on planes. It's weird to say, but it's like it's the one thing that like I like really long international flights because it takes me out of my routine. It takes me out of my brain.
I feel
and
you.
like I only ever read on planes. It sounds weird, but like it's the perfect place to play, you know, a Vita or like, you know, any sort of handheld. But I'm like, I will literally have a stack of magazines that I subscribe to that I'll just bring on the plane with me and just sit and read. And it's this weird, like
All
antiquated.
right,
old school
I
thing.
need to cut you off there, Nick, because there's a detail that we were discussing yesterday at Sean's house that I want to bring up about your magazine collection.
Sure.
So Nick, big fan of the American Cinematographer.
Love it.
Fantastic magazine. It's awesome. You get it every month, right?
Yeah.
Nick likes them so much he collects them, and he wants them to be as pristine as possible.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to hate on you for that. I get it. But what is weird is when you take them on flights and you bring those giant Ziploc bags to put them in.
Because because my biggest pet peeve, two things that happen, right? Once I like to take them when we go on flights. I like to take them to the pool with me, right?
Okay.
And so magazines, if you're in a humid environment, will the cover of them will like it'll start to bubble up. You know, get the thing.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite issues of the magazine was when they did the American Cinematographer. For those of you who don't know, is a very hardcore film journal specifically centered around cinematography. It's not about directing. It's not about writing. It's literally about the art of how they light and film movies. And one of the movies that I loved from a couple years ago was Straight Outta Compton, and I was reading the article about that at the pool, didn't have my little thing with me, and I got it back to the hotel room, and the fucking thing like expanded like Kevin on Vacation. And so I was like, so that's ruined. And I literally looked like a porno mag after a while because I was like, this thing is all crusty together and sticking together. So that's pet peeve one. Pet peeve two is I cannot fucking stand when you put the thing in, forget it's in there, you put another thing in, and then you take the magazine out and the cover's
cover's
bent,
all fucked up.
and you
Yeah,
never
sucks,
get that
that
crease
sucks.
out of there. It's just a weird idiosyncrasy of mine. So I figured, I'm like, Ziploc bags, perfect size. The gallon Ziploc bags, you can fit 3 in there. You tighten them up, they're watertight, boom, they're keeping them nice and crisp.
Yeah.
Like new sheets. You know what I mean?
That's
That's
yeah.
fucking incredible, bro.
I do the same with books too. Like the last Harry Potter book that came out, the play.
Yeah.
I put that bad boy right in the Ziploc bag. It's perfect.
Jesus, man. I feel like Ziplocs missing out on a whole market of like book lovers.
I'm just destroying the environment left.
So
and
in the
right.
New York trip, we're in the Ubers to the airport.
Ubers to the airport. So Our flight is at 7:05 is when it takes off. And I'm being dropped off at this airport, and it is 5:50. And I'm like, I'm good, right? That's way more than enough time.
Flight's at 7:05. You're being dropped off at 5:50.
5:50.
What terminal are you going out of?
So that was my thing. I'm used to flying Virgin.
Yeah.
I'm used to understanding
two.
how the shit goes. Anytime I've had to fly United, there's always the issues and like shit gets bad, right? Virgin, you just walk up to the kiosk thing, they give you your shit, you're fucking in.
Right,
They
right,
treat
right.
you like gods. But we're going to Alaska. As we're driving up, the guy's like, "Oh, what terminal?" And I'm like, "Oh, Alaska. I don't know which one it is." And he's like, "Oh, I think it's an international." Immediately when he said that, I'm like, "Oh no, I didn't plan enough time for this. This is going to turn into an endeavor." I look it up. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, no, Alaska is in the international terminal, even though I'm going somewhere domestic. Whatever. I'll let this shit slide. I fucking hate Alaska." We get there, walk in. I'm like, "All right," looking around, find the Alaska area. I walk up to it and I start using the little terminal thing. Does not read my card. Doesn't read another card. Doesn't read my ID. And I'm just like, oh, this is such a fucking pain in the ass. I call Kev to make sure he was up and on his way. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm about to be there. They brought me to the domestic terminal. Now we need to go around and get to the international. I'm like, all right, whatever. Kev finally gets there. At this point, it's like 6:10, 6:15-ish. And we walk up. We keep trying to use these like different kiosks and all this shit. His shit wasn't working either. And I'm like, oh man. But I'm like, we still got time. Like, it'll be fine. Walk up to the lady. And I'm like, hey, like, just trying to check in. And she's like, is giving me this weird look where she's just like, because we're the only people there. And I'm looking at the security line. There's nobody. So I'm like, we're good. We're good. She's like, oh, hey, where you guys flying? And I was like, oh, New York. We don't go to New York.
What?
And I'm like,
Is this Alaska operated by Virgin America?
and I'm like, yeah, you do. You do go to New York. Our thing says Alaska Airlines. And they're like, no. I'm like, to JFK? She's like, no, we don't go there from San Francisco.
I flew here from there. Like,
and Kev and I were like, uh-oh. Like immediately, she's just like, wait a minute, what time's your flight? And I was like, 7:05. And she literally out loud says, Jesus Christ, you should have got here earlier. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And you Kev keeps it cool always, right? Like whenever problems are coming up, he's like, I got this. We'll figure this out. Don't worry. It's not a problem, and he just gets things done. I saw panic in his eyes and I'm like, oh no, we're not going to make it to New York. Like this is the worst. And I was like, they're never going to let us go on a trip again alone,
Unsupervised, this is what
I was
happens.
like, fuck, we're ruining this. So lady's like, all right, so here's what you got to do. Your flight's actually Virgin. So you need to get to the other terminal from here. You need to go up that escalator, take the Airbus over, and
Pray to God.
pray. And we're like, all right.
yeah, no, on the way here, I flew at Alaskan Airlines, right? And I went to the Alaska Airlines terminal at JFK, and I get there, and I'm like, it's 10 minutes before I have to check in and shit. And I'm like, hey, like, where do I check in? I don't see any kiosks or what's going on there. They're like, oh yeah, we were bought by Virgin. It's in like the other terminal. And I'm like, fuck, that's like 20 minutes away from here. How the fuck am I supposed to do this?
Oh, man.
So I also have been affected,
Well,
Tim. I just
there you
wanna
go. I'm sorry,
commiserate.
Alaska. So we ran. Okay?
I'd love to see this.
It was.
Fucking-
We ran with a captured kit
Yeah.
and cameras and tripods and all. It was.
Kevin looking like Rhino from Marvel Comics.
Yeah, man. Oh, so we're going up, and then we get in the Airbus, and we make it over. And at this point, it is 6:35. All right, I'm looking at my watch, and I'm like, they're boarding now.
Yeah.
Like this, they don't wait and let you on the plane at 7:05 before they take off. Like they're fucking boarding, right?
They're looking to close that door. I have a theory that there's always one flight attendant who just wants to close that door.
Oh my
she
God.
needs to close that door. You know what I mean? She's waiting for those two assholes to be like, she'll see him across the way running, and she's just like,
Starts
close the door. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they can let you on the fucking plane, but I guess they have to do like a pre-flight check and stuff like that. And if they
Make sure
open the
it doesn't
door
blow
again,
up,
they have
yeah.
to do it all over
Well, I
again.
mean, there's a policy that once the door's closed, you cannot open it.
Right.
Like it's illegal to with all the weird
Makes sense to me.
TSA shit.
I
Whatever.
kind of don't want them to
That's
open
why they don't let you-
'Cause I like
they
to
don't
be
let
that
you
guy
check
on the
crowbars.
plane who's like I'm
Yeah.
the guy that gets, if there's no assigned seats in the movie theater, I'm there like 2 hours beforehand. I got the perfect seat. And when I just live for the point where the guy's like this. I'm sorry, is that seat taken? Yes.
Yeah, I got here.
Yes, it is,
I like how you say
motherfucker.
2 hours. Rogue One, weren't we there 2 hours and 45 minutes or
I
something?
said I take a nap. I'm an old man. I take a nap.
All right, so we run down, we make it into the terminal, and I run over to the Virgin little area, and the fun, cool music's playing. And it's just like, all right, cool, this is great. And I was like, I'm with my people. They'll help me. I'm silver status. You know, I'm not gold, Greg.
It's okay. Not everybody can
but I was
fly
like-
as high as I do.
But Kevin's not. But I'm like, all right, let's just at
Kevin's
least
fucking
go to the
nothing over
kiosk. So
there.
we run to the kiosk, and Kevin slides the card, and it just says, "You're too late.
Yeah.
You can't make your flight. Go talk to someone about rebooking." And we look at each other, and that's when I saw the real look of Kevin being like, "We fucked up."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh no!" But I'm like, "No, we can't end like this." So I run over to talk to the lady, and she I ran into the little red carpet
Oh, yeah.
that they have.
Oh, I know the red carpet
I
well.
run on that red carpet, but there was still a lot of people in front of us. And I was telling the lady, she's like, "No, you're not supposed to be there. Your flight's late. You need to go talk to these people." I'm like, "No. I'm silver. I'm supposed to be here. I'm talking to that lady because I just trusted the lady."
I'm silver.
I'm so happy I did that shit.
Yeah, cool, yeah.
We get to the lady, best customer service I think I've ever had. She's like, "We're gonna make this happen. We're doing this shit. Are you checking bags?" And we're like, "We have to." And she's just like, "No."
Yeah,
Like,
you can't.
You can't. And I'm like, "We have way too much equipment. Like, there's no way. Like, we have to."
Yeah.
And she's just like, "I'll walk you through." We're doing this."
Damn.
I'm like, "What?" She's like, just play. Is there any way you can consolidate? And like Kevin, she looks at Kevin. Kevin's like the most consolidated human being possible.
Kevin looks like Snake when he's in the fucking heavy gear in Metal Gear. The armor is just like,
Oh, yeah, we got a little visual.
Yeah,
of him.
so it was just like, she was like, "I understand. Let's go. We need to move." She fucking gets us, runs with us. She's like, just play cool. Don't let them see you have like 3 bags each. Like,
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's just go through. I'm like, hell yeah. We get through. She like pulls us through into the priority line. Like no questions asked, whatever. She tells the gate guy, she's like, just let him go. Just let him go. Just let him go.
Yeah.
We get in, and I'm like feeling like a fucking badass. Then she walks away. Doesn't help us through the security line. She just gets us there, and it was long.
TSA pre.
And I'm like, we're fucked. I mean, even the TSA pre was long. Like, we would have not made the flight, even if we were in that area. But I'm like, this is fucking bad. And this is when our lives became a movie. Because there's this woman next to us, me and Kevin panic. We're like, what are we gonna do? What the fuck are we gonna do? Should we just go back and rebook? Like, we're panicking. The woman in front of us just goes, "What time did you guys flight?" And we're like, 7:05. She's like, you need to ask people. Like, you need to go tell them. Like, you
Yeah.
need to get ahead. And Kevin's like, can
Well, you were like, nah, I think it's gonna work.
I was like, I don't think it's gonna work. And Kevin's like, no, we should at least try. I'm like, yeah, sure. So Kevin does the Kevin thing, drops all of his bags, and slinks down and starts fucking like a little rat, just like running all the way to the
I can see that.
fucking
I can see that.
the TSA guy.
see
Starts
that.
talking to him, just like, "Hey, dude, our flight's at 7. We're screwed. We got to get through." The lady helped us, but she dropped us there, like, help. And he goes, "Sorry, man, it's policy. We can't. Like, it's up to all these people. Like, we can't, give any special treatment and whatever."
I respect that.
And Kev was just like, and he looks over at me from across the sea of all these people. There's probably 100 people in between us.
Yeah.
And Kev goes, "Tim, he says he can't do anything. He says it's up to the people."
Yes, Kevin. Yes, Kevin.
good
But then
thinking.
there was a moment where it's like we were about to give up, and you can see all the people go, like, we don't, great. Like, are we really dealing with this shit right now? And I had a moment, and for anybody that knows me, like, I'm kind of a punk when it comes to this shit. Like, I will back off instantly and just be like, "I guess we're gonna get on the other flight." But I had a moment like, we're not going down like
You
this.
did you felt it and like stood up for yourself.
I was like,
There's music in the background.
I was like, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
nice.
We are really late. Can we please cut you all? I would really appreciate it." And it was just like, no one said anything. You get a couple nods, and then there's just like one, "Yeah, go for it."
Nice.
And it was awesome.
The whole place erupts into applause.
So I get all the Kevin's bags, and I start slinking through, and we get through, and it felt like this monumental moment.
That's fucking
And then
awesome.
we get to the part where we start, having to take your shoes off and
God,
put all this shit
yeah.
and stuff. And it went from being the most epic, "We're fucking doing this, they're letting us cut," to, "Oh, now we're back in line again." Like, now we're just in front. We're just in front of everyone. Right. So it was like, great. So we had to. There's no way to speed that process up. Right.
Yeah.
We figure it out, we get through, and then we just mad dash down that damn terminal. And like, again, I haven't ran in 27 years. Like, this shit is not good for me. Kevin, God bless his soul, I think he was rolling at one point.
Yeah.
And,
They call it tumbling when you're.
and so
when you're
it was gate
Katamari Damacy.
53,
Okay, good.
which, for those that don't know, is the farthest
Exactly.
fucking terminal
yeah,
possible.
Yeah, of course.
But we just run our little hearts out, and eventually, like, it gets to a point, I see a line. And I'm like, we made it. We're fine. They're not even fucking all in yet. I don't know what the fuck happened, but we fucking made it. We get up and then like everybody there they saw, like they could see us like huffing and puffing because we did for probably the half of the flight after that. But everyone was like proud of us. It felt like a real, like we fucking did it.
You beat the system.
Yeah, no, so it was great. We get on the plane, all that. It was with like 10 million fucking bags.
So my question is, I saw the tweet from you that was a quote from Kevin of whoever's been writing our lives or what is it? Whoever's been writing our lives or these past few years.
Yeah, the screenwriter of the last few years of our lives is fucking awesome.
Is it because of this moment? Of
this season is what he said. No, it wasn't this moment.
Just in general that you're going to see Switch and all that.
No,
you're
it
going
was
to New York.
It was the whole trip. We're 26 minutes in. I'm to try to like just hit the highlights because that really was like probably the best part. Skimming through.
You proved that democracy exists.
Yeah, man.
People still have a heart.
People,
yeah. I really, if I was when we turn this into a movie, I would want a little bit more out of the speech. So I'm just like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the biggest Nintendo fan in the world, and my partners have entrusted me to go to this event, and we have fucked it up.
Yeah, no, oh
Can
my
you
God.
please help me live my dream of announcing Nintendo console and not getting fired?
Dude, the best part of it though that I left out was so the woman in front of me, she was seeing this all happen. She was so happy that like we were standing up and doing it. And as after I gave the speech, the woman next to her goes, "Hey, you're Nick, right?" Which was the perfect end cap to this because everybody calls me Nick. Everybody thinks that I'm Nick.
People call you Tim.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone's familiar with Colin and Greg.
Okay.
Like Colin and Greg are like, they're the famous ones.
Tim and I are
So it's like when
interchangeable.
people are like, oh, I know that they're kind of funny, but I'm not sure who they are. They just default and like,
Yeah, but this is a random person at the airport.
well, so yeah.
Like,
but
that's awesome.
Yeah. So she's like, you're Nick. I'm not. And I was like, no, I'm Tim. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, whatever. Like, are you going to the Switch, man? I was like, yeah, trying to, whatever. And then the lady in between us was like, how do you know him? And she goes, I watch him on the internet. And it just like, it really was just one of those
That's
moments
awesome.
of like, what the fuck is happening? Wow. But that was great. But all right, so we get to the hotel and we get in the elevator. We're like going up to
Still
the
huffing
room.
and puffing from running at the airport.
Still huffing and puffing. Kevin's still crazy. And we're
6 hours later.
so jazzed and talking about all this shit. And then we get in the elevator to go up to Kevin's room, drop his stuff up. Then we get back in to go up to mine. And we walk in and it's Reggie, the Nintendo of America president, he's the Rock incarnate. Like he's just this
He's huge. I've met him. Yeah, he's
fucking
big.
dude.
Huge hands.
Is he taller than you?
I think so. Yeah.
I think he
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like he's
Well, goddamn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a big dude. And man, mid-sentence, I've never heard Kevin audibly gasp that way. Like he was just talking, and I was like, and it was a moment where I'm like, in my head, I'm like,
Play
"Tim,
cool, play cool, play cool."
Like you need to look cool. Like don't be a fucking weirdo. Don't like, and it all happened in probably 10 seconds.
Of course.
It was like 2 floors up. But I was like, do I talk to him? Do I not talk to him? Do I look at him? Do I not look at him? And here's Kevin just dead silent. And I'm like, why are we being so fucking weird? And we just get out of the elevator. And that was our moment with Reggie. Kevin later had a follow-up moment the next day in the elevator after the Switch event and stuff where Reggie talked to him. So,
Oh, what did Reggie say to you?
and he recognized him from
Really?
the day before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was wearing my hat.
Your funny
It was
little hat.
recognizable.
He was like, oh, I've seen Serpico. You look really familiar.
He was just like, "How's your day?" And I was like, "Good. I'm very excited for this thing." And he's like, "Great." I was like, "Thank you."
Good. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so then moving on, we go to what's the burger place? Shake Shack.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause I'm
Shake
like,
Shack.
I fucking love Shake Shack.
I love Shake Shack too. Oh, come on, New York. You gotta give
Spoiled,
it to
you're
when everyone-
spoiled.
It's like when everyone from your fucking coast comes out here like, In-N-Out is the best thing on the planet.
Yeah, you know
Whatever,
what?
dude.
I learned my
Yeah,
fucking
been there,
lesson with
done
some
that.
In-N-Out, bro. It's called bubble guts, and I learned that lesson real fucking hard.
Ooh,
Every time I
that's
go
good.
to
That's
some
just your body
In-N-Out.
saying, hey,
Yeah.
we don't need this in it.
No, it's
get it out.
Yeah, Shake Shack is like it's become the In-N-Out of the New York experience. Like, because people go and they're like Shake Shack because that's the brand. It's like Roscoe's, chicken and waffles
Sure.
when you go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's a thing that people do, but like it's not. Come on, man. Come on, man. There's better burgers in New York. If you live in New York, you know about Burger Bistro. You know about Bear Burger. Like these are infinitely superior to Shake Shack burgers. Like that fucking like any place where they have a nanny cam
A
to
webcam,
check the
yeah.
line is not a place that I want to go.
Yeah.
Like, because it's immediately overrated. Maybe I'm just a hipster in that sense where I hate things that are universally loved, but fuck that shit.
You're fitting Colin's seat very well.
Tim turns into an internet commenter.
So, I agree with you about the Shake Shack shit. But my thing, the reason I love it is they do the fries. They're like the crisp cut fries or what?
Crinkle cut. Crinkle cut.
And I fell in love with them when I first went about 5 years ago. So I'm like, I gotta keep going back to this thing. But then I met Portillo's, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the superior fry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's filled that void in my heart. Those fries are fucking fantastic.
I haven't had those.
They're amazing.
Next time you're in LA,
all right.
go down there.
All right. So we do the Shake Shack shit, and this is, I don't remember what day it is. Let's just say Thursday night. Now, Friday, Tone was going to fly out to San Francisco to do the music video that we shot this whole weekend. So we were kind of like doing a little switcheroo for a bit.
Yeah.
But it was Thursday night. I'm like, I'm in New York. I might as well hit him up just to see if he's free. And I'm like, I know he's not because he's planning the music video, but like whatever. So I hit you up. I'm like, yo, what you doing tonight? Like, you want to grab some food or whatevs? And you're like, nah, I'm working on the video. I'll see you tomorrow. Cool. And you're like, but if you're trying to get food, and you recommended me a whole bunch of places.
I sent him screenshots, fucking Yelp links, all this shit, like my spots. Like when people come to New York, I'm like, yo, we're gonna go to this spot for the cocktail spots, like spots that like aren't popular that are amazing.
Yeah.
And I sent him all this shit. I was excited. I was like, check this out. And then I see like an hour later, it's him and Kevin in front of like the shittiest $1
Two
pizza
Bros
slice.
Pizza. And I had predicted that when you guys left. I'm like, you're going to meet at Two Bros Pizza. And then the photo went live.
Son.
We didn't eat it there.
Okay.
That was just on the way to B&H, which God bless
Wonderland.
America.
Wonderland.
B&H is the most fantastic building. It's
Camera
Disneyland for video guys.
video nerds, yeah.
Holy crap, it's fantastic.
3 stories.
Did you need something or did you just go to check it out?
We kind of wanted something.
Okay.
Didn't need it. We found a need for it, and we ended up not needing it. Anyways,
Where's the drone?
B&H is fucking fantastic. So on the way there, we saw the pizza. But that was the thing is like, all right, we got to get pizza for Kev. Like this is definitely, I want good New York pizza.
Right.
So I was going to hit up Aransky and be like, what's the spot that you recommend? But I was like, oh, Tone recommended me a pizza place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, we're going to do this shit. I was like, it'll be our final meal. Yeah. So we're at the Nintendo Switch event, and it's going great. Playing it super good. Highly recommend it. We decide we're going to leave to go get lunch, and then from lunch go straight to the airport. So we have all of our equipment and whatevs. As we're going to this place, Patsy's.
Yeah. There's a place called Patsy's in New York. It's it's like a family style restaurant. No frills, but the food is like, it's really good Italian. You know what I'm saying? Like it's well done. And there are so many incredibly shitty Italian restaurants in New York. Like everything is world's famous this.
Yeah.
Best pizza here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like it's a tourist trap most of the time. But this is a place where it's not the best thing ever made, but it's fucking good pizza.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna break the bank. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
love that.
Patsy's, check it out.
So we decided we're going to check it out. And we hit up Graham, who now works at Snapchat. He's one of the best friends out there. He's done a lot of him and Andy collabed on the Gamescast intro.
Graham of Legend.
Graham of Legend on Twitter. Good friend. We hit him up and we're like, oh, we're going to go grab some lunch if you want to come. So he took a break from Snapchat and came to meet us. And we get in the cab, we get over, we get dropped off at Patsy's, and we have so much equipment with us. Like we're just, Kevin is sweating,
of course,
more than he's
I
ever
was gonna
sweated
say.
before.
Looking like Serpico.
Wearing his little flower hat. We're a fucking mess, right? We look like this ragtag group. Now, another key thing to point out is Graham, very Jamaican, very black. Okay. We go to this place.
You get a pass there. That's good.
Yeah. So we go to walk into this place.
Yeah.
And immediately I'm like, man, this place is hella fancy. Like, whoa. Walk in, I'm like, all right. I mean, Tone recommended it. Like, it's good pizza. Like, let's just do it. We get in and judged immediately. Every single person there looks at us like, oh no, it's
Now,
gonna be one of those.
Do you
days.
think you were being judged on the fact that maybe you're carrying like 15 suitcases with you?
Yeah.
And
Oh
okay.
yeah. No, it was a mix of who we were, what we looked like,
Right.
and what we had.
Okay.
Everyone in there suits. Like,
I'm waiting for the big race turn though.
Like,
like what? And he's also really black. Oh shit, this is about to go fucking really bad.
I got scared for a second because you're like super Italian restaurant and we showed up with a black guy.
Exactly. You're setting this up like. Long story short, we don't know where Graham is.
No, I just mean it in the sense like
pretty heavy with some gangsters. And Graham's at the bottom of the fucking hot
it wasn't like that, but like it was definite profiling. Like we were being treated a certain way based on our.
Well, I mean,
how's it feel, Tim?
Oh yeah,
how's it feel, Tim?
Do you think it was Graham, or do you think it was the fact that Kevin was wearing an exaggerated bike messenger hat?
It was literally all of the
well,
things.
it was also my like jacket because it was supposed to rain, so I was like, I'm gonna bring my rain jacket, and it's like big.
It-
Also, Graham was fucked up.
Oh, that's the other
Huge
thing.
bruised eye.
Graham
Lip
had
stitched open.
he was ice skating.
Oh.
And went face first down on the ice.
That'll do it.
Stitches all on his lip.
Graham.
Giant black eye and like stitches on his dick. So like we looked like a mess. All right.
okay.
And we're walking into this place, and my first thought, I'm like,
Tons of gear too.
I was like, damn, Tone's a fancy motherfucker. Tone eats the fanciest pizza in the fucking world.
Everyone's pinkies up, fork and knives, eating this pizza.
Like, goddamn. So we go in and we sit, and like these motherfuckers are judging us. There's a guy standing in the corner that I don't think ever stopped looking at us the entire time we were there. Like,
These are like city officials though.
Yeah, it was like de Blasio's office.
They all had little fucking flags on them.
yeah, I mean,
It was probably all we were saying it's probably all the FBI people that are like fucking supposed to be guarding Trump at the tower now. They're all up in New York.
man, it was like
mess.
a picturesque thing where I was like, damn, this is like one of the fanciest restaurants I've ever been in. And we are so out of place. And we sit down, and they come over to us, and they give us that kind of like warning thing of like, are you sure you're supposed to be here? Like, is this where you want to be? And we're just like, yeah, we're good.
Because there's a Taco Bell.
Like pretty much, I think
2 blocks down.
I think what they asked was, are you eating? And it's like,
Oh God! Like, why the fuck else am I here?
yeah, we're
we
eating.
came for the free soda refills.
Hand us the menu, and we start looking through it, and like, all right, cool, let's figure out what we want, because we were super hungry at that time. So it was like, let's get this shit ordered. And Kevin goes, hey, there's no pizza on
Oh
this
god
menu.
damn it! You went to the wrong restaurant.
And I'm like,
Went
and
to
we
the
start looking
wrong
through. We
restaurant.
immediately realize, Graham starts like looking up on Google Maps. He's like, yo, this is not Patsy's Pizzeria. This is just Patsy's Italian restaurant. And we're like, oh no! It was so bad.
You're like, we are in the wrong place. We don't belong here. They were right to
We
judge
don't
us.
want to eat. You know what? We take it all back. All this animosity we've been throwing your way. Hey, you're right.
So there was a moment where like I was looking, I was like, nah, but when Tone was texting me, he said that they don't just do pizza. They also do pasta. They also do some stuff. So
It's family style.
Yeah. So I was like, maybe this is the right place. Like maybe, and like we were like, where is the pizza? And then we found something that was called like Pizza Aioli or some shit. I'm like, I was like, I wonder, is that pizza?
Aioli, yeah.
I don't know. And we Googled it. But no, it's not pizza. That shit ain't pizza. But yeah, when we went in, they literally were like, we dropped all our shit off and like checked it, and they looked at Kevin's hat and they're like, hey, do you want to give me your hat?
But not like in a like, hey, you can say no way.
Yeah. so here we are, and at this point, we're just looking at this shit, and we start looking at the price of
Oh,
everything,
Jesus
and we're
God.
like, oh no, like we made a bad mistake.
Why didn't you guys like? I'm sorry, we're in the wrong place.
Because at that point, I can. Yeah, you're hungry.
We were
you got so
hungry.
much shit
We were
with
looking
you.
into.
like-
We had so much stuff, and getting to the other place, we didn't have enough time because we had to get to the airport,
okay,
and
got it.
we were scared
was like,
about
fuck it
being
up.
late.
Take
it
the
was
lobster.
It was such a Tim and Kevin
Awesome.
experience. But then it hits a point where we're like, are we committing to this or not? And when the next time someone walked by and gave us some weird judgment, I was like, fuck these guys. We're going all in. We'll take it all. We're fucking doing this
Give
shit.
me everything on the menu.
Get us old fashions. Thank you, sir. It just turns into like, you're not going to fucking,
Right.
say who
I got
we
money,
are.
I got money,
We're
yeah.
fucking fine.
I could be an internet mogul. You don't know who the
You don't
fuck I
even
am.
fucking
I'm from
know.
I'm a place where they
Like
make
you order everything, you turn to Graham like, can you please pick up the bill?
Yeah.
Do you have a Snapchat
Everyone's
expense
like, we're going to
account?
the bathroom real quick, Graham. Hang here.
Anyway, to speed this up, to speed this whole process up, we eventually we get the bill, and I put my card down and give it to them. And they walk over and they run in. He comes back, goes, hey, excuse me, your card got declined. And I was like, oh, we look so bad right now.
God, dine and
I was
dash.
like, no.
What happened to the card?
And then I was like, there's no way. But at that point, I'm like, all right, this is bad. Like, I need to just give him another card and like not look like what he thought I was.
Sorry, I just put 3 yachts on that one.
Yeah.
It must be held up.
So I give him my other card, and he goes over to use that one. You can just see he's flustered and pissed off. He's just like, God damn it, these motherfuckers, right? Because we just bought a lot of shit, a lot of drinks, and then I'm looking. I get a text, and I'm like,
Fraud prevention.
the fraud prevention,
Yeah.
and it's like
That City card does it a lot.
it's like text 1 if
That's you.
if you're good and whatever. And I was like, oh hell yeah, this is my moment. This is the time I'm gonna prove this guy fucking wrong. I walk up to him, I show him. I'm like, look, I'm gonna text 1. We're gonna be good. And I text it, and he slides it, and all of a sudden, it went from judgment to we're having a fucking party. And this guy, it was like the end of a South Park episode,
Yeah.
where it's like everybody
You learn a
learns
lesson.
something.
Yeah.
You know, and
Except for Cartman.
like this guy was just like, hey, it turned into like the when you hear your family, like, hey, you guys, like, you know, you
Next
go-
time you guys
go
are in New York,
down.
you come on back. Don't
Yeah.
bring the black guy. You guys
Then he's like talking to us. He gives us a little gift package.
go.
So we got
Oh.
some Patsy sauce.
That's fucking good.
Yeah, I bet so too. Give me Skycam. Patsy's all natural, not vodka sauce.
He gave us sauce.
That's such an Italian thing to do.
fucking
That is
awesome.
Listen, man,
That's
sorry
the
it
end of
went
that.
so bad, but
Oh, that's so great.
Patsy's
Yeah.
award-winning vodka sauce. It's a
Well,
New York
if-
favorite,
that's pretty
accented
amazing.
with vodka, heavy cream, and imported spices. Was the food good?
The food was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. Patsy's.
God bless.
Tell him Kind of Funny sent you, and Graham from Snapchat.
Yeah.
Well, shit, you just put me on the Patsy's now.
Yeah,
Like, it
there
just
you go.
worked out
There we
backwards.
go. There we go.
I need to put on a suit and not bring any of my black friends, and we'll
And then we'll
make it happen.
be fucking set.
There you go.
So yeah, there's
Yeah.
way more to the story, but you know what? I'm gonna end there because
All
I
right.
think that's a
Great
choice.
one. I'm glad it all worked out for you guys in the end. Tone, what's your topic?
This is my first time on the show, so I wasn't really sure how this whole thing worked. But after that magnificent story, I feel
Yeah,
like this
anything
is a
goes.
total
You're gonna be
letdown.
fine,
Yeah. So I want to talk about cuffing season. You know,
I don't know what that is.
you guys don't know what cuffing season is.
No.
No.
And the reason why you guys don't know what cuffing season is because you all have ladies. All have ladies. Cuffing
I
season,
really don't know if that's the reason.
All right, so there's this natural phenomenon that occurs where the girls that you try to holler at, you know, in the summertime or in the spring, you know, they ghost you or they don't respond to texts. The second it gets cold, suddenly all those texts start to get returned on the
Interesting.
"Hey stranger,
Really?
how have you been?" And the next thing you know, your phone is blowing up with a bunch of randos hitting up your phone like, so what's going on this weekend? So are you ever coming into town? And as a performer, right, I've
It's area
dabbled
codes.
I've dabbled around.
You have women in every port.
Yeah.
I've dabbled around, and you know that starts to blow up your phone after a while. So I don't know. Have you ever experienced this before?
What is the is it like handcuffs? I don't know what's cuffing season.
Cuffing season is sort of like, you know, you come on, let's go.
Oh,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying? Or you lock it down.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
In the summer, you want to be freewheeling.
Yes.
Wearing scantily clad outfits, going out with
Daisy
people.
Dukes.
Yeah.
So many
shorts,
Daisy Dukes.
Yeah.
crop
Yeah.
tops.
And it's understandable. Like I understand the you know the need to sort of like be free during the summer months, but Jesus Christ, man, it is the desperation in these texts.
Is it because when it gets cold, they want to like cozy up? To
That's
something?
what
Yes!
I
Is that
imagine it's
what
the
it is?
warmth factor.
It's the warmth. Apparently,
Well, here's a very scientific chart. That Kevin, go ahead and bring it
Go
over.
ahead and found this chart for us. Let's
Kevin's
bring this
gonna
up.
bring-
I didn't believe
There we
it.
go.
I didn't believe it until like I heard the term, and then I was like, and then you would look at your text and you'd just be like, oh shit, this is real.
Yeah.
Now,
And- yeah.
what's interesting about the chart here that I didn't take in? I was, is it going to be cold in the bed and you want it to be warm? It's the holidays.
Oh,
Yeah,
people want
first
it.
leaf
They're
falls
lonely.
under the mistletoe. You need a Thanksgiving person. You need, even October. You need a Halloween date for your couple's costume.
See, it's
You're
so funny to
right.
me because that's when I don't want someone, because that's when I have to fly everywhere and the flights cost twice as much when I've got someone.
See, this pulls up what would have been my argument as well, though. Swimsuit season beginning in the winter, you let yourself go. It's
Yeah.
gonna be bad. You start packing on it. What do you? I'll eat a few more Christmas cookies. I'll do this thing. I don't care. We'll lay around. We'll watch movies.
Zero
It's
fucks
cold.
given, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
There you go.
Netflix and chill literally exists because of cuffing season.
Yeah.
Like that entire term, that whole thing comes out of this. For some reason,
Need to be cuffed. I didn't read the y-axis.
the need to be cuffed. It kicks in real heavy, and chicks will be just blowing up your phone, bro.
That's crazy.
Out of
I've
nowhere.
never thought about that.
So wait,
before.
when does it end? Are we
Right there,
looking
you
at-
see. I mean, you see, like
it's
spring
kinda hard to
fever is
see.
when people really start work. It's when you're outside of the holidays. February. Oh, look, I didn't even think about that either. Oh, Kev, can I have more coffee too? February is another peak. It looks like if you're listening to the audio version, the big peak. February for Valentine's Day. Then the next big peak is, it looks like it's October as the leaves are falling. It dips below for some reason coming out of October and November and then comes back for Christmas and New Year's.
I wonder if like Netflix subscriptions charts would look similar.
Oh, I guarantee they would.
If there was a way to fucking like overlap those two charts,
Yeah.
that would be. I guarantee you, the fucking Netflix
But
subscription rate would
makes sense.
shoot up.
It makes sense for people, especially given the fact that, like, okay, you figure December is when you're at your probably heaviest, right? Like you were talking about earlier, where you're like you've binged, you've done whatever, and then January comes around, everyone starts going, fuck,
New Year's
I'm gonna
resolutions.
get my New Year's resolution, I'm gonna get fit. And then if you're a fairly good looking woman and you have the capability of doing that, by the time summer comes around, you're looking your best. You got a lot more options. Right?
For the record, I wonder. It's Bay. We're talking about in the swimsuits, female. We're talking about that. It's got to be a male phenomenon too, though,
No,
right?
for sure. I think
guys
we're
just
just speaking
wanna-
this from our
guys do that
perspective.
once-
Yeah,
one
that's
all the
all
time.
year though.
Yeah, we're a year-round
it's,
phenomenon.
it's
All year is cuffing season for men. Hey, what are you doing? Why haven't we spoken? I'd love to talk to you.
Oh man, that is kind of true.
That's
Guys-
true, actually.
Guys are thirsty. Like that's the
Yes.
thing. Like
It's-
generally,
it's a female phenomenon, bro. I'm telling you, there's something. I don't know. It's like
Guy cuffing season is just one line across the very top.
straight line. There's like a dip on Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
"Yo, I
The
ain't
opposite.
serious.
The
I ain't
opposite to get
serious."
out. The opposite to get out.
It's like Valentine's Day and then Super Bowl Sunday. Like you don't.
Yeah,
want
they're like, no, we're busy. We don't want you there.
You know what? We're good. Go out with you. Go get a purse.
yeah. So it's real.
That's fascinating.
It's real.
I haven't been single in so long though that I just don't like none of this stuff even resonates with me. Like when I talk to my single friends or like the few of them that are still left,
Yeah.
I'm just like, your life is so exciting.
I
and
mean,
fantastical.
if you like herpes, you know what I'm saying?
Who doesn't like?
You love
herpes?
you some herpes.
That's why I go to
and
Shake
life is
Shack when I go to New
exciting,
York.
son.
How does it work for you touring around, seeing all these different ladies? And
I mean, I have issues, Greg.
yeah,
I have lots of issues. No, I mean, look, I've never online dated, and I'm also like always blown away when I see stuff. It's basically it's like it's really easy to get laid now. Like it's literally seamless
No.
for like sex. That's
yeah,
what it is.
I'm fascinated. Tim always tells me, he's like, dude, you were really born 10 years too late. Like,
Yeah.
or too early, rather.
Yeah.
Because I can't do math. Which one is it? It's the second one.
I was shaking my head because just at the thought of you single in this day and
Now,
age, how we would.
if I were like 28 now single, I don't think I'd ever be able to commit. I just don't think it would be possible because there's just too many greener pastures. There's always something out there that you could potentially get, and it's just it's crazy. Like when I met my wife, I was like, oh, I already had that mentality where I'm like, I'm not done being single. I want to have sex with more women and different variety of women. It's always like that, but then now it's to the fucking nth degree.
Oh, yeah,
where
no.
every single thing you interact with could be vagina.
Yes.
It could possibly be vagina. You know what I mean? Twitter could turn into vagina. Snapchat, vagina.
Everything.
Starbucks, vagina.
Yes.
It's too much, man. It's too much.
I always said
It's too
that
exciting.
if I was
My little
born
heart can't
in
take
the 70s, I would be dead. Right, I'm sorry, not born in the 70s. If I was alive as like a sexually active male in the 70s,
Oh, man.
I would at this point I would have
Every
been at
STD.
Studio 54 fucking
yeah.
everything that moved.
Okay.
And now so now in my age group, like I kind of missed the whole online dating curve that's happening. Like
You and I
if
got
I was
the
born a little bit
90s.
later, I'd be dead.
You and I got the 90s, which is probably the worst time to date in the
You're all gonna
ever.
die if you have sex. Don't touch anyone.
Terrible.
Oh Jesus God!
Like everyone was wearing really baggy clothes and they smelled like it was like grungy.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
like,
if you're into that,
I mean, I
just
don't know.
saying,
The
man.
I
girls
shared
wear
a
these,
fork
like-
with somebody at school. AIDS. It's over.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, like getting a chick like back then, like in the 90s.
That was hard.
It was-
man.
it was
You had to, like,
90210.
play guitar.
Yeah,
You
dude.
know what I mean?
You had to have skills. You know what I mean? Like it was ridiculous. Like
Talk to him.
you had to talk to them
God,
for
it
like
was
extended
terrible.
periods of time.
Like,
meet
you had
the
to be into the
parents.
Cranberries.
Call
You know what I
call
mean?
their house. Hope their brother is
the Cranberries.
Tori Amos.
Oh, Tori Amos. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
actually
You
a
can't pronounce
huge
it.
Tori Amos.
Oh, I'm not
fan.
knocking the music. I like the Cranberries too. I'm just saying that was like the thing though. That was
I've been
like
to 18 Tori Amos shows. Just putting that out.
Have you met her?
Tori Amos is to Tone what Tone is to me. I would say.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
I think.
I mean, I guess.
Good for you.
But have you met Tori Amos?
I mean, is there anyone above her?
No.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kev. Big Kev. Dog.
Really?
Woof, woof, woof.
Oh, I love you, man.
Oh, you didn't believe that part? I thought that shit was clear.
That's what he held up by.
That's amazing.
That's so funny. But no, yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you're on the road though that it does get lonely a little bit? That you're having are they these sort of like bite-sized relationships that you go out?
Okay, so
imagine they're bite-sized.
I have songs
Remember Full
about that stuff on my new record. Like I made
Plug. Where can you get the new- where you get the new album?
You can get it at tonedeff.com, TONEDEFF.com. Certified sex addiction, right? Clinically certified. So what happens is I am. Yeah.
Okay.
So what happens is, it all just starts to just blur, and you're just constantly on this like elevated state where you're just trying to get high all the time. Basically,
Yeah.
you're just a
High on.
junkie. Yeah, at this point. So
Hi, I'm for Jane.
yeah, bro. So yeah, it starts to blur into a mess after a while. And then yeah, you get lonely because you're in fucking Idaho somewhere at a bar,
Right.
And you've just played to like fucking 40 kids or whatever. And underground rap shows, honestly, it's like a lot of like dudes, which is a no-go for me, but like they bring their girlfriends, and then the girlfriends are like bored, and then they're like, he's like cute because like he said to do stuff from the stage and everybody did it. So like when my
got
boyfriend goes home, like me and my friend were just just like what are you doing later? Like after the show, and then
It's just like the movie.
yeah, no, it's like ridiculous, dude.
But
Like
see, no man was meant to have that much power. We're not designed
Yeah.
to have that easy access. We have to, like,
Hunt
we
and
have to try.
gather.
Otherwise, it fucks you
Hunt
up, man.
and
Yeah.
gather.
We are. We're like, but like, I just don't like. I often wonder. Like, you hear these stories of like big celebrities who go fucking crazy, and like,
It's
too
much access.
It's too much, man.
Yeah.
Like you have to have something to fight for and work for. Otherwise, you get twisted.
yeah, it's too much access. Like porn, the way porn is now. Like I can't imagine being fucking like a
14
a child
with a phone right now.
coming up with like
Never
'cause
leave my room.
I was watching
I
VHS.
was like, you
cassettes.
gotta leave your room. You've been there for 6 months. And we're like, no, there's more.
Yeah, dude. And like,
We understood.
yes,
No, we get it. Oh no.
brutal shit.
Bye.
Yeah, it's there's just too much access. So like when you see shit like Tinder and all that, bro, it's just like everybody's
scares you.
so.
But even
yeah,
that,
it's
like,
scary to me.
So
Like
when Tim and I used to first start hanging out, I was like, oh, Tim. Like I was like, I'm gonna teach Tim about women because Tim is a young lad, doesn't really know anything. And
Those were the days.
I was like, Tim, girls don't like that, and he's like, yeah, they do.
yeah,
Like girls aren't into the big. I remember we had a conversation about blowjobs, and I was like, Tim, most women don't like giving blowjobs, and Tim's like, well,
My generation.
I think that may have changed since Uncle Nick was in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Uncle Nick.
No, I
Yeah.
mean it's an interesting thing because I grew up, I think, thankfully, in an age where there is much more equality in terms of the women male like dynamic of women like sex.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the thing.
okay for
that-
women to like
okay
sex
for
now.
them.
It's only,
Yeah, that's
it's
the
only
big thing.
okay. I mean, I guess that's the thing is like where we're at right now. It's that kind of acceptance that it's okay, which is ridiculous, but like that's
it's
where we're
completely
at.
ridiculous, yeah,
but
man.
like the next generation, so I feel like Kevin's little brother and like them, they're just gonna grow up, or hopefully by then, grow up in a place where it's like, nah, man, women like to fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just
Everyone
as
enjoys
much-
just as much as
everybody likes
That's
fucking.
an important
you know?
distinction, right? So like my time was about it being okay for women to enjoy sex. Your time is women like to fuck.
Yeah.
Like
That's the joke.
and that's
Like-
a big but that's a huge differential, right? Like that's thank you, Jesus. Yeah, okay, good pour. And that's hugely important, right? And I feel like that's why when I think back on my life, that's the one thing I'm most disappointed about.
The one thing.
Everything else is great. No, of course I'm joking, but,
But
like,
I mean, but going-
it's cool.
So what you're saying is we're about 15 to 20 years away from Roman orgies. For
Oh
that
yeah,
day, right?
No,
yeah.
that's-
Like
that's
going
coming
like
up.
the Romans had it right, man. Let me tell you, they used to eat a lot. They'd go throw up, and then they just fuck, and then they just completely do that over again until they passed out. That's a great lifestyle. Great.
Let's be
That was
Romans.
a great lifestyle. It sounds fun for a while. Except
I can
throwing
get- I
up.
can
I'm
get
not
6
down with
months
the
on
throwing up part.
So here's my thing, Tone. I want to get serious. If you're sex addicted,
Yes.
do you are you trying to stay away from it like a recovering alcoholic, or do you?
Yes.
Okay. How hard is that? I mean, because I assume it's the same.
Rock hard.
It's fucking.
How are you
damn near
turning a
impossible.
serious thing into such a joke every time he does anything?
It's rock hard, guys. That's terrible.
At all times.
It's just right there. I'm sorry, Tone. I didn't mean to.
Because you have to have all the
disparage.
same triggers, right? You're still going to Idaho. You're still playing for the small
Oh
crowd.
no! All the same triggers are there. They will always be there, and so it just gets to a point where you kind of have to like try to avoid certain situations and like surround yourself with like people that aren't gonna like put you in a situation, because we all have those friends that are like, let's go to the fucking bar. Like nothing good ever happens after 3 a.m. Like
No,
ever. Like
trust me, I know. Like quitting smoking was really hard for me because when you're a smoker, you surround yourself with smokers, right? That's the whole point. Is
Right.
like you just find each other, and especially when I was at IGN, it was always hard because I'm like, I want to quit smoking, but there's always someone that I know that has a cigarette right now, and I know that person. If I ask him, will want to go out there with me,
Right.
And so when I actually finally quit, you notice a different dynamic in the relationship with the people that you used to kind of, for lack of a better term, abuse with, right?
Right.
You're like, wait a minute, we were like really tight.
Exactly.
And then it turns out maybe we're not so tight. Maybe we just have this common kind of fucked up thing in our head
relationship.
that we
Yeah,
kind of
dude.
need each other for. And then
for me, it's like I always know somebody with a vagina. That's like
50% of the world probably has one.
I
so.
know somebody with a vagina, and like they'll just like magically text me during cuffing season, and then
Yeah.
all the triggers kick in. I'm just oh god, why?
Especially now because they can actually just give you a picture of the vagina.
Right.
And you're like, let's cut right to the chase.
I'm like, I have a working Netflix subscription. I have good Wi-Fi. Let's make
I
it
know a
happen.
great Italian
So
place
with-
that delivers.
Yeah,
the-
so it's hard.
Those Patsies.
It's
Highly
rock hard,
recommend
guys.
it. With the, when did you realize that it was an actual problem that you had to fix?
I rock bottomed. I was married for 11 years.
Oh, wow.
I was married for 7.5 years, and I was with her, my ex, for 11 years. And I ended up destroying everything. Basically, my record's real dark. You need to check it out. And basically, I after we separated, it was just sort of like all the leash came off.
Oh.
And I went absolutely fucking crazy. No pun intended. And
Bonkers, huh?
yeah, no, I just hit a point where I was just I couldn't look at myself anymore.
Wow.
When strangers, like it was bad. You know what I mean? And so I had I started going to therapy and everything, and really try to level out. Try to date somebody who I like care about, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And it's a checks and balances thing, but it's tough. But I'm getting through it. You know what I mean? And working on the projects that I've been working on, it's been helpful for me because I've had to sort of like look at all the pieces of myself that are like causing certain things, and that reevaluation really helped me stabilize. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's true catharsis.
Yeah, like
you know?
from a very top level, the EP Glutton is about the sex addiction
Yeah.
stuff, right? And the song specifically, Glutton, that Tone performed at Kind of Funny Live 1 and 2.
Hey.
So like the loud song where everyone's jumping around and stuff, actually about sex addiction.
Yeah, that song's about just being in the state of having just an endless appetite. So just equating, grasping at the bottom when you plunge in, like just diving in isn't enough. You need it. You're still trying to grab at it. So the Glutton EP was about that section of my life, and trying to sort of convey that sense of desperation and darkness and your most disgusting fantasies, and just putting them out there so you can like evaluate it basically. But it's under the guise of like an EDM dance record. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is really fucked up and I love it. So
Good beat.
yeah. So anyways.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you're working on it. I'm glad you're in good spirits about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it's crushed you.
It's taking time, but I feel like I'm in a good place at this point. Right now, I mean, next week I'll be in a fucking ditch somewhere
It's
with my
one day
dick
at
in
a
my
time.
hand.
Thing.
So
Well,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Now you're sounding a lot like Nick.
Fair enough. Yeah, we should probably not hang out.
Yeah, let's not hang out, Nick.
All right, my topic
Your topic, right?
is about Nick Scarpino. Nick,
Oh,
a while
no.
back on a few
Yeah.
shows ago, you teased you should do your waiter/food stories as a topic.
Right.
I want to hear I want to hear about some of these stories. You were a waiter for how long? Or how long were you in food service?
I was in the food service. My first job ever was I was 17 years old, and I was a pizza cook at an Italian restaurant. So that's how I remember I taught you how to do pizza.
I was going to say, for the record, You can, of course, go to my Instagram, instagram.com/GameOverGreggy,
Right.
and I still use your pizza method. That pizza I made last week was so fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I bought the stuff again to make it this week.
So my friend of mine worked at a place called Boompas, which was near a
Was it near Patsy's?
no, it was very close. It was near an Edwards Cinema in Riverside, California. It's no longer there, unfortunately. But he got me a job as a waiter. Now we made, I'm sorry, a cook rather, and we made minimum wage.
Just a cook.
Just a cook. A lowly fry cook. No.
What was minimum wage?
Minimum wage back then was, I want to say it was,
$4.
no, it was somewhere up in 7,
Oh.
6 or 7, something like that.
Line items.
It could have been, it could have been less.
fucking $4 since like the 30s. Jesus.
Tim, I out of the corner of my eye, Tim just points at me.
Yeah.
He's just like 30s. So that's where I learned the sort of the value of working hard and not working smart. Right. And so that was, I always say, like, when you're young and you're just starting out in anything, what you end up doing, the cycle that you end up being in is learning what not to do over and over and over and over again until eventually you figure it out. And then you're like, oh, I've been an idiot all this time. I'm working way too hard. I should work smarter. This was the job that I was like, this is the worst job I'm ever going to have. And I knew it happening. I knew it was happening while it was happening, but all my friends worked there, and then one by one they went away. And then I went off to college, and I was like, I gotta stop this. This is horrible. But we would work like from 4 to like 1, minimum wage, and then when all the waiters got to go home, we'd have to clean up the kitchen. So like a normal restaurant, you have a cleaning crew that comes in. So like a really fancy restaurant, like the cooks don't clean. They'll clean their station probably and make sure everything's prepped for the next day and sanitized or whatever. But then there's a deep clean that happens every night. We did the deep clean. And I mean, when I say deep clean, I mean I used to have to clean out the gutters, like the troughs at the bottom of the floor where all the shit would coagulate as all the water and sauce and everything would spill. And then I remember thinking, this is the fucking most horrifically demeaning thing I've ever had to do. When the lead chef walked me into the walk-in refrigerator. We're talking like, it's a freezer basically.
Yeah.
Freezing cold, but throughout the night when you're pulling stuff, shit would fall on the ground, sauce would fall, and it would coagulate, and then you'd step on it. So over and over and over go. And he's like, you got to clean that up. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? It's like frozen. And he hands me this, it's like a blade. It looks like a handle with a dull blade on it. And what it's used for is scraping the dough off of a tray. So like when your dough's risen, you scrape it off like this, and then you can put it on the flour and roll it out. He hands me that thing, and he's like, you got to scrape all the shit off this floor and then sweep it up and then mop it. And so at the end of every night, I would literally get on my hands and knees and scrape like fucking pasta or dough that had been like ground into this floor over the period of like 6 hours. Scrape it all, sweep it up, take a fucking dirty, like a clean mop. And by the way, when you were done with the mop water, it would start off clean. It would be fucking brown. And then I would have to do that for like every other part of the kitchen.
And you're in a freezer.
Oh, you're in a freezer.
Yeah, so
you're
it's
like
super
cold.
hard. Like,
Yeah, it's terrible. You're bouncing out and trying to get like a little bit of warmth. Granted, I was like also a cook and didn't give a fuck what I ate back then, so there was that. But there was also like I would make myself pizza every 5 minutes. Like we'd have excess dough and I would just roll out the pizza and send it through. And it was like trying to escape from prison. Like 1 out of every 3 would get caught by the guy, like the lead cook. And he's like, you can't fucking do this. You can't be eating pizza while you're making pizza. I was like, okay, cool. And then I'd like lock eyes with my other homie. I'm like, oh, we got 2 more coming. We got 2 more coming. He would just like, I would make myself like sandwiches and just hide them behind shit. And he was like, dude, you can't eat half a sandwich and it's not sanitary. And I'm like, I'm 16. I don't fucking care. Like, it doesn't matter. And so that was one of the jobs that I was happiest in my entire life to quit. And then I went from there to, I worked at a Jamba Juice / coffee place. Got even fatter there because I was like, it was a Juice It Up, I think is what it was. Remember
Juice It Up?
Remember Juice It Up?
No.
They're like, it's this style of juice place, smoothie place that sold the most unhealthy smoothie on the planet. Like the normal healthy smoothie is like, like maybe almond milk with some spinach and maybe and this was like ice cream. And like some strawberries.
Okay.
Right. And so I would eat like 5-6 of those a day. I would just be cannonballing those fuckers. Just because you'd experiment, you get bored. You're like, you're
What
18.
happens if I put in a kiwi, strawberries,
What's
and
this?
mint
It tastes
chocolate
like
chip?
Disgusting. Let's get another one, So I did that, but I didn't start serving food until midway through college. And that was because my brother had served food. And so I kind of saw that lifestyle and I was like, oh.
Matt Scarpino must have been one of the funnest waiters
He
to
was
have.
awesome.
He
Matt-
strikes me as one of the guys who'd come up, spin the chair on. What's going on, guys? What do you want?
Matt's
You want some
definitely-
jalapeno
He
poppers?
played characters,
Yeah, like
right?
mad
brother-
like swag.
No,
He's totally a TGI Fridays.
you're-
the best.
you wait for this. My brother, when he's on the show, we should have him do these stories. But
I think we did before,
we?
but
okay,
keep
he
going.
worked at a place called Bobby McGee's in San Bernardino. Bobby McGee's is a theme restaurant, so you play a character while you're
It's
serving
LA.
food, and his character was Great Scott.
Oh, I do vaguely remember
he
him
wore
talking
a
about being a
kilt.
kilt.
And sometimes, and this was deep into my brother's like college. He was a Sigma Nu. He was drinking like every fucking night. He looked great because he was like, he looked like he was training for like the sex Olympics. And so he would just mow through people and like it was ridiculous. But I went the other way with it. I was like, I'm gonna be super fat and smoke a lot of cigarettes. So
It's a lot less work.
yeah, it was a lot less work. So yeah, I mean, that was my life for all of college, which was just bouncing back and forth between restaurants. Like my first restaurant, I worked at for a couple years. That was the one where I became a server at that restaurant, and it was fun because I hated it so much that I never pushed for the fun, like the good shifts where you can actually make money. So I'd get the Sunday afternoon shifts where everyone would bring breakfast and we would just have cereal, and then someone would walk in and be like, you kind of go over and serve them and come back to like just chilling. Like it would be a nuisance.
Make people feel unwelcome the
Yeah,
second
we're
they
like,
walk in. Like, should
nah,
we be
nah,
here?
dude.
Are you
Because it was
guys
like-
open?
It was like an Italian restaurant for lunch. It's like you don't want to be here.
Right.
It's Sunday. You don't want to be here. But the lifestyle starts to wear on you after a while because it is very much you work until midnight and then take every dollar you've earned in tips, and then we all go to the bars afterward. And so there was like everyone was sleeping with everyone. So like people got knocked up constantly. There was like girls, like the hostesses would drop like flies because every like 6 months one of them would be like, I'm pregnant. And then it was always super awkward because like you knew the guy that was banging them was also banging the other hostesses.
Oh, God.
And like I remember one of the like people do stupid shit because when you're serving food, when you're in that lifestyle, you're not in the normal world. Like there's Anthony Bourdain wrote a book about this and that made him famous.
Kitchen Confidential?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be I don't read it again unless I'm on a flight. But it's
And
about
it's in a plastic bag.
yes, but it's about that. It's about that sort of like you're at work when everyone's not. You're when you don't think about it because when you go to a restaurant, you sit down, you're there for good service, but people that's their job. They're working. So at 5 o'clock when you get off, then you're thinking like, oh, we're gonna go for steaks tonight or whatever. Someone's thinking I gotta go to work. I gotta be professional and all that stuff. But after that, holy shit! Like there were times when you'd have guys that were like I remember one time we had a guy. Good looking guy, but dumb as shit. Very hip hop though. Like he was totally like the whitest guy you know, but he talked like he was a hip hop artist. So you're like, oh god.
I'm familiar with a lot of those guys.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cool Greg.
Nice. God bless him. By the way, his Instagram is public now, and it's the best thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? It's Cool Greg _.
I think
Yeah, it is. Cool
Don't
Greg.
hang on
underscore.
Cool Greg. I like Cool Greg.
No, Cool Greg's a fucking.
We love Cool Greg.
Love Cool Greg.
Love
Cool
me
Greg
some
got
Cool
the name
Greg.
because he's Cool Greg.
Oh my god, Cool Greg last night was in the most Cool Greg mood I've ever seen him in my life. He orders a burger. We go to BJ's because Sean wanted to go to BJ's.
Of course he did.
It's
Of course he did.
11:30 and he's like, they close at midnight. We can get there. And I'm like, I'm sure they're gonna be super happy that a party of 10 walked in.
Yeah.
At 11:30
With
on a
5
fucking
minutes to
Sunday
order.
night.
Yeah.
So we get in there. Cool Greg orders a burger, but it has mayo on it. He doesn't like mayo.
No, he
And so he
doesn't.
goes, "Can I have it with no mayo, please? Don't even put it on the side, just no mayo." Woman's like, "Cool," but it's 11:30.
Yeah.
And so she goes back, and again, another one of those server stories. Like I've been in that situation where I'm like, "Motherfuck!" I thought we were closing. I was almost out of here.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
party
yeah.
of 10 walks in. Burger comes, it's got mayo on it, and he just looks at it, and it broke him. And he was just like, because he was like, "I don't want to embarrass you guys, but this has mayo on it, and I don't want to eat it." And I'm like, "Well, send it back." And he's like, I'm fine. I'm not going to say anything. And I'm like, "Well, it's more awkward that you're just staring at the burger than it is if you just tell you don't want it, right?" And then so she comes and I'm like, "You know what? It has mayo on it. Can you remake it, or if the kitchen's closed, don't worry about it. Just take it back and take it off the bill." And she looks at him and she's like, "What do you want me to do?" And he goes, "I don't know. What should I do?" And she was like, "Well, we're making for you. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal." But like he wasn't even hungry, so it comes and then he just keeps staring at it. And then he's like, "Can I get a?" And then 15 minutes after we're all done eating, he's like, "Can I get a box?" And then the box comes and it's got toothpicks in it. And so he's trying to close the box over it because it's so perfect. He doesn't want to take the toothpicks out of it. But the toothpicks start poking through the box. And it was a whole kerfuffle.
Yeah.
It was a
Cool, Greg.
kerfuffle.
I love that. You had your first Pizookie.
I had my first
You
Pizookie.
did.
Yeah, man. That shit is crack.
Yeah, it was
It's
good.
amazing.
It was so good
Yeah.
that she delivered 2 Pizookies and 6 forks. There's 10 of us. Now, most people didn't want part of the Pizookie. I was like, it's my birthday weekend. I'm going to have some fucking Pizookie. I haven't had cake. I'm going to have some Pizookie. So I'm eating, and I look over, and I lock eyes with Kevin. Kevin did not get a spoon or a fork for this thing.
Oh, no.
And Kevin's just like, excuse me, can I have, excuse me, can I have a, sir? She
kept walking.
Kept walking by. She's like, I'm closing, I'm done. Sir, excuse me. I'm halfway through, and Kevin's like, this is starting to bother me. I don't know what to do. Do I get up? And he was like in the middle of the table, so he couldn't get up. So finally, he looks at me, and I'm just whittling through ours. And I look at him, and he looks at me, and my spoon comes out of my mouth, and I just hand it to him, and he takes it, digs into the Pizookie, and starts eating as his spoon gets delivered. And he goes like this, it's okay, I'm using his dirty spoon. And I'm like, I'll take the clean one. And it was this, and Kevin fucking, he didn't care, didn't skip a beat, just kept going in it. God bless it. That's the kind of shit you deal with when you're a server. That's what you have to deal with.
That's how good that Pizookie was. You
pretty
fucking took a spoon right out of that man's mouth.
So is this from your time of being a server? Is that where your short fuse comes from for bad service?
Yeah, I think that because I was such a terrible server because I hated it. And it was another one of those life lessons where I was like, I don't know why I'm investing any time in this. Like, I was just so caught up in not really having ambition that I'm like, I'm serving food, I'm making enough money, I'm getting by, like this is fine. But there is, anything worth doing is worth doing right. So there is a sense of sort of pride that you kind of have. You're like, well, I'm like, these people came here to have a good experience. Like, I want to give them the best experience I can. And so there are, when you worked at nicer restaurants, you had people that really gave a fuck about it. Like, I worked at a place called Bertolini's, which I think there's still one in Vegas. But they had corporate like offices, and they'd have people that would come train you, and they were like, look, these are the steps of service, right? These are the things that you're supposed to do in order to ensure that people are having a good time.
Touch a table in the first 5 minutes.
Touch table in the first 5 minutes, right? Like, drink orders have to cut. Like, get there, tell them about the specials, get the drink orders, get any appetizer orders, and get those drinks back as soon as possible. Once the food drops on the table, you got to get back there with it before the second bite, I think is what they used to say. So like those are the things that you want to make sure. And there's sort of an art to making sure that people are taken care of but not smothered, right? You don't want to be that guy that's turning the chair sideways and be like, guys, what are we doing tonight? What are we doing after this?
Yeah.
You want to be that person that's just kind of there to facilitate.
Amplifying the experience. Exactly.
And I was never really that person because I never really give a fuck.
Yeah.
And so when I see people that don't give a fuck, it's very easy to recognize that, like, yourself.
Sure.
I'm like, you don't care. You're working on us. Like that one time we went in Austin. It was like a day. Like, no one was there. That dude was high as fuck on Quaaludes.
We will never stop referring to that trip. Like that was the worst.
That was the worst experience I've
I've
ever had. And so that's when I just, it's unacceptable because I think on a very base level, I don't care what you're doing. If you are doing a job that you hate, stop doing the job.
Yes, I agree.
Figure out something else.
Yeah.
Don't let it fuck you up. Don't let it turn you into an asshole. Don't let it turn you into a lazy, unambitious piece of shit. The second that happens, you're going to eventually run into me, and I'm going to call you out on it. And that's what this is what's happened. This guy at this restaurant that we went to, the food was so late. We had time. We ordered. Took him forever to get our fucking order. Food goes in. Food doesn't come out and it's been 30 minutes at this point. 45 minutes. Since we ordered. And I'm like, excuse me, sir, can you check on our food? It's been a little while. And he looks at his fucking watch and goes, well, it's only been like 12 minutes. And I'm like, go get your manager.
Yeah.
Go get your manager right now. And he's like, what? And I'm like, go get your fucking manager right now. And she comes over like, what's going on? And I'm like, when I ask a server where my food is, I don't want him to tell me that it's only been 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Especially when, and I showed her the watch of my phone, the text message when we sat down. I was like, I sent this text out when we first sat down. It has been 45 fucking minutes. And there is no one in this restaurant. It was us, a table of old people, and a fucking dog outside. And that was it. And I'm like, where the fuck is our food? And
Y'all going to the restaurant?
I was like, sir, I think you should leave. I'm like, go check on our food. She goes, she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I think the guy forgot to put the fucking order in because he was noticeably high. Like,
You talked about this, yeah.
like, I don't know what he was doing. I'm guessing pill addiction, but I'm not sure. So this guy, and he cut
Your professional opinion.
and then he's looking, and then he's like shooting us looks across the thing, and I'm like, look to the manager, and she was a very nice person and was like, I'm sorry, sir, we'll take care of this. We'll comp some of your stuff for you, and yada yada. I was like, good, but I'm like, look, I don't I'm not comfortable with this guy serving us anymore. I don't like this guy. We have shit we got to do later today. We got to get back to the convention center. Like, you got to give us another server. And the next guy, to the credit, he was Johnny on the spot. But like, I don't want to be in that environment. Then no one's happy.
Yeah,
You know, I've already yelled at someone. I didn't yell, but I was stern with someone, and I hate having to do that.
It's debatable where you were at volume wise.
I was in the middle. I was on the
cusp.
The cusp. Yeah.
Service. That's the. I mean, over the weekend, like it was the varying degrees of different service. Where Jen was in town, we went up north through Marin to Hog Island Oyster Company, where you go and like they have an oyster bar there. It's a town. You know, it's Marshall, a town of 50 people. They have all these different oyster shacks on the water.
Where is this?
Marshall, California, up north. About an hour and a half with traffic, hour 15 if it's
cool.
It's going well. Anyways, we got up there. We had yesterday or the day before she'd been like, I want to go do this. I'm like, all right, do you want to sit at the bar or do you want to get like the picnic thing? Because the bar is like normal. They're gonna bring you order what you want and they're gonna bring it to you. And then the picnic thing is you get a table and a grill and you go buy the oysters and you bring them over and you shuck them yourself and you do all this stuff. Awesome. You grill them and you bring other stuff. It's like, let's do the picnic. I'm like, all right, cool. And we got there and I was immediately off put because like the reservation started at 10. First off, overall, amazing experience. The place is great. I'll go back.
Right.
But it was that jarring thing of what my expectations were because it is San Francisco and Bay Area.
Yeah.
And we do go to really great places usually that are super awesome. You know what I mean? And we got there and like there was a line to get in, but it was like 11 o'clock and our reservation started at 10:30. You book it for like 3 hours, right? And so we got there and I'm like, well, they're lined up for the bar. There's already people over the picnic table. What do we do? So like we walked in and then like the person at the bar was like, oh, we're not open. I'm like, we have a picnic reservation. She's like, oh, go back. We'll be right there. And she walked over and like brought us there and she's like, all right, cool. And you go over there to get your oysters and you do this thing and we'll see you later. And they walked away and like, no, was this our first time? Like, what do we do? Like, I was like, all right. So I walked over there. I'm like, I come to get oysters from you. He's like, oh yeah, how many? I'm like, all right, great. And I'm like, I need charcoal. He's like, oh, you get that at the bar. I'm like, but okay. And like went over there and then bring the charcoal and it wasn't briquettes. It was like the mesquite logs or stuff, which are great. But I haven't barbecued since I lived in Missouri because you can't have a fucking barbecue in San Francisco. Right. So I'm like, it was just like this like frustration of like, fuck, what is this all? And then once I got in the rhythm of it, I was like, all right, great. But then the opposite, I took her to Wayfair Tavern because she wanted fried chicken. We were going to go out and see some sketch comedy because it's Sketch Fest or whatever.
Oh,
and so
shit, right.
we were late for that reservation. Or first off, I called them while we were crossing the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm like, hey, we're coming in. I know it's tough. Can we get a spot? And the guy's like, oh, yes, we can. We put you the chef's thing or maybe a table. I'm like, great, perfect. And he's like, what's your name? Give him my name. Start reading my phone number at autofill. He's like, oh, welcome back, Greg. I'm like, oh, hang up. Then a few hours later, we're late, of course. So I call him like, hey, we're like 20 minutes late. I'm like, oh, no problem, Mr. Miller. Blah, blah, we'll do this. And I hang up. She's like, man, they were all really cordial. I'm like, yes, that's what everyone's supposed to be like. That's supposed to be the experience.
If you want people to come back, you got to be nice to them.
And that was the problem of the next day we went to Social Kitchen and Brewery in the Sunset, which I fucking love. Great beers. The food's solid. But as we walked in, she's like, oh, this place is really cool. I'm like, yeah, heads up. The service always fucking awful. And I'm like, they have this new guy. I'm not sure if he's a new owner or a new manager. And I've seen him trying to whip the place into shape. We're going to see how it goes. Fucking terrible. The bill comes. She's like, let me pick it up. She's like, let me pick it up. I'm like, great. Give them no money. She's like, what? And she's Canadian. I'm like, give them nothing. Like, do not tip them.
She's like, I don't have that. I can't do that.
I know. It was a whole like conversation of like, I will fucking tear this up and I'll pay for the meal to fucking give them no money.
Yeah.
Because again, it was just like 5 different people came, no communication between them, long periods of like we ordered a salad and the pork belly fried rice they do. That should take 2 seconds to cook and plate. And we were there like 30 minutes. We finished our drinks. They came by like, do you want another drink? I'm like, no, I'd like the food.
Yeah.
Like if this would have all moved in, a smooth fashion, maybe I would have liked that. But now I'm fucking angry and I don't want to do this.
Yeah, that's the thing for me is like, and again, I recognize that. Like, I don't have it in myself not to tip. Like, I've never ever walked out of even that restaurant we were at, I still tipped generally well. Because
you did, and we fought you on that.
Yeah, you're like, don't do it. I was like, the second guy was good and he's getting the tip.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
I get that.
But my thing is, when you're at like San Francisco is a different ecosystem, right? Because the service industry up here is way more focused on the actual food than I think it is on the service. Now, that's not to say like we went to Nopa and the service there was fucking amazing.
Wayfair was great. Nopa was great.
So there's plenty of places, but I have been to a lot of mom and pop owned shops where they're owned by people who just like to cook, but not necessarily understand what the service should be based around that, right? And there is a mentality in some of these places where when you go to them, it's not about the customer. You're almost putting them out by wanting to do things. You know what I mean? And I don't like that experience.
I went to the Chinese food shop down the street with a friend a couple weeks ago or whatever, and we got there and like, the people who were running were just eating Chinese food in the middle at lunch. It's like they're like, oh, sit here. I'm like, great. And we sat there like, There's eating. I can see you. Can you come like get our order? What are you doing?
Whatever you're having?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for whatever it's worth, I mean, that usually signifies it's good food. It's good food.
Yeah, no.
Like, we're eating it. Fuck, it must be good.
No, but so the tail end of my serving career really taught me something, though. And that was when I was out of college. I'd graduated. I was not using my prestigious film studies degree from the University of California, Irvine. And I was pretty depressed. I was like, because you are kind of what you do, right? You know, I don't really necessarily subscribe to the notion that you're like your inner qualities are you. Like you're your actions. You're sort of a culmination of what you do. And at that point, all I was doing was serving food. And again, not to disparage the food service industry, if that's what you love doing, great. But I wanted to be in video production. I wanted to make films. And so I had just started shooting weddings. And it was just getting to a point where I'm like making a little bit of money on it, but I still needed my serving jobs, and I was doing 2 at the same time. So I was at 2 different restaurants because I was like, I got nothing better to do, so I'm just gonna pull double shifts every day, which is stupid. Again, working harder, not smarter. I could have been like, I have all morning to do not like go on a film shoot or schedule those things out, and I just didn't fucking do it. Well, I did a couple, but it didn't work out. And so something psychologically broke in me at a certain point and was like, you're more than this, or you want to be more than this. You have other aspirations and goals in life, and this is holding you back. But that was deep in my subconscious, and how that manifested was in the span of a month, I got fired from 2 jobs. So I was working at the Market Broiler in the block at Orange, which is like a run of the mill, like it's like like you get salmon for like $10 at this place, you know? So and everything comes with like 8 sides, so they'll tell you the quality of the film. So
it's like Applebee's level, like that sort of thing.
Maybe a little bit lower.
Okay.
I was working there, and I was working at a Japanese restaurant, and so at one point I just got so frustrated that it was this exact same thing we were talking about with us last night, where this party came in. And I was like, I'm supposed to be going home, and a party of like 10 came in on a Sunday. And I was like, dude, we're supposed to be closing right now and like shutting down for the next thing. Like I was telling my manager, I was like, you gotta close. Like I can't keep working. And the guy's like, you got to take this table. I was like, fine, whatever. And I was punching in their order, and I just went, poof, and I just put my fucking hand through this like this
Point of
terminal
sale system.
And I looked up at him, and he looked over at me, and I'm like,
That's such a fucking boss way to quit.
I'm like, I guess. And he's like, yeah, you're fired. It's like, you can't destroy a $300 computer console. Like, I can't have you doing that. And I was like, okay.
You shuffled the menus, put them in your briefcase, and walked out.
Yeah, I was like, sir, it's been excellent working with you. And then so the next month actually it wasn't within a month. I apologize about that. I think I quit the other job because I got another job at downtown Disney, and that was the last serving job I ever got, which was at the Ralph Brennan Jazz Kitchen.
Hell yeah,
And that was where I was like, I'm getting a little too old for this lifestyle, because that was at that place. I had heard stories of the Christmas party before where they were no longer allowed by Disney to have their Christmas party at Ralph Brennan's because people like were fucking on the balcony. Yeah. Like it was crazy because they shut it down and like, everyone would come there. And I was like, fuck, how did I miss that one? And that was when
where do I sign up?
I hit a part in my life where I was like, I just got to do something else to myself.
On a balcony, man.
Well, I definitely want to fuck on a balcony. I still want to fuck on balconies. I want to fuck in bathrooms also. I just want to fuck. But it was me and my good friend. We called him Eddie No-No because he used to drink a lot. And he was an ex-Marine, and he had these
Stu and Eddie No-No and Nick running around Irvine.
Eddie was a great guy. He was an ex-Marine, right? And he actually, I think he was over in Iraq for a while. Came back and he was serving food. Really cool guy. But we just became friends because we had that sort of like, we're working the day shift all the time in downtown Disney. There's never anything happening. He would just like pour me drinks, and we would just get fucking hammered. And then when it started to rain or when it was slow, we'd all get off, and a small contingency of us, drunk as shit, would get on the monorail and go over to Disney for free because we were Disney employees. Technically, we weren't employees, but we were like associates,
Cast
whatever.
members.
Yeah, no, we weren't cast members, but we were like one step down from that. So like we didn't
grips.
get all the perks of it. Like we couldn't get other people in, but we could get into the park. And so we'd get hammered and go ride Space Mountain just over and over again. And I'm like, I gotta do something else with my life. And then the wedding business started picking up, just to the point where I was like, I can't really pay rent on it yet. And then it happened. There was one day when like I just couldn't deal with tourists anymore. Because when you work in downtown Disney, you're working with a lot of people who are on vacation, but they're from fucking. They come from wherever, and if it's raining that day, they don't. It's not like you can not be on vacation with your family. You just came from France, and so people are pouring in, and there's shit everywhere, and I'm just so fucking tired, and it's raining outside. And again, I was just like, I'm supposed to be off, and my manager's like, you got to stay a couple more hours.
You punch this French guy,
and I just looked at him, and I was like, you got to I can't, man. You got to like. We're supposed to like, because at this restaurant we were supposed to close and then you'd like reopen at a certain point. I was like, you got to close the doors. She's like, I can't. We're making money and yada yada yada. And I was like, well, if you'd stop being a little fucking bitch, you could get out there and like close the fucking doors and lead. Like I was like basically like telling him like you got to be a fucking manager here. You can't work your crew to death. And he was like, "What did you just call me?" I was like, "I called you a little fucking bitch." And I just got fired, didn't I? And he was like, "Yeah, you're super fired." And I was like, "Fuck." And it was the best. It was the worst weekend of my life, but the best week of my life because I literally was like, "Oh shit, what do I do?" And that is the best place for you to be, especially when you're a young creative, because you're like, I'm forced to get out of my box.
Yeah.
Like this little box I was living in is not working, and I just tore out of it, whether I like it or not. So I have to do something, and that was when I was like, I got to brainstorm, and I called my friend who was working at this other place, and I was like, "Can you get me more gigs here?" And I called people, and I was like, "What can we do?" Yada yada yada. And sure as shit, I was able in the span of a month to start putting together that month with just video work, and I'm like, "Oh wow, I've entered this new
That's awesome.
section of my life."
Anybody that I know that has ever succeeded in the arts have quit and focused on it 100%.
Gotta have that moment.
No net is the
Yep.
only way
Best way.
you'll make it happen.
100%.
You know?
So Nick,
Yeah.
what's your real topic? Because my topic was kind of a cop out of just saying Nick talk.
No, that's really great. My topic is minimalism. I watched a documentary about minimalism called Minimalism on Netflix. The documentary was good. It was fine. It was following these two guys that wrote a book about it, and they're touring around to promote that book and just telling people sort of their theories and mentality when it comes to just our consumer culture in general.
And this is the idea of owning as little as possible.
It's not necessarily that. It's more about not owning for the sake of owning, not consuming for the sake of consuming, not getting caught up in needing the new cell phone every year, needing the new car every 2 years. Like it kind of redefines the definition of materialism, right? And this is one of the things these guys really kind of focus on, where they were like, materialism used to be about really caring about the things that you had and the materials they were made out of. And like, you know, when you bought a car, you cared about that car and you took care of that car for a long time. You took pride in the fact that you could work on that car and like would wash the car. Now we've gotten to a point as a society where we don't value those things anymore. They're just kind of either status symbols or they're these things in our life that we think define us, that we think we need, but in reality, you know, when they cite some studies where they're like, the more things that people need, this is what they need, this is where their happiness levels goes, because there's never enough.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and they talk about Black Friday, they talk about these big events where people just have to have the stuff, but they don't really know why they need it. It's this weird impulsive need, and when they get it, it doesn't fulfill that part of them that's sad or lonely or unhappy. And so I don't necessarily 100% agree that you can't like find a happy middle ground. But I see it in myself, right? Case in point, like I have a cell phone that I've had for 4 years. I don't really feel the need to get a new cell phone unless there's something that really, really happens. But like Tim, for instance, you love the tech.
I love
behind
that
it.
shit,
You love
yeah.
it, right? But so I just wanted to get your guys to just talk about that with you guys, because I feel like, especially in this day and age where everything's so easily attainable.
Well, I think that's kind of what it is. It's the addiction to scrolling, like especially with phones, where it's just like you wake up in the morning and the first thing you want to do is
Right.
like, how many notifications do I have? And it's like you just, even if you don't care, you got to get to the bottom. You know, you go on Instagram.
You wanna
and
see
just-
everything.
You want to see everything,
right.
and it's like if you miss stuff, like you feel like you're missing out.
It's the fear of missing
but
out, yeah.
as you're
We'll
getting
talk
the
about that
stuff,
too.
you're not really getting anything. Like
It's
there's no goal to it. It's not like, oh man, I hope I see this picture.
I found myself being annoyed. I don't know if it's a recent update or not, but and maybe it's always been this way. I don't think it is. But with Instagram, where all right, cool, I'm scrolling. Oh, somebody texts me. I pop over to see the text. I come back to Instagram, and it go right back to the top of the feed. It doesn't let me pick up from where I left off scrolling. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, wait, why do I care so much?
I had like a fucking breakdown in New York with Kevin where I'm like, this fucking Instagram update keeps bumping me to the top and it's so annoying. I'm like, there's a problem here that I am this upset.
The thing I've been thinking about too with like, you know, last week, and this is all convoluted for the Gamescast thing or whatever, we're talking about how the games I've been playing, and I've been jumping around so much, right? And granted, nothing was striking me. We're playing a game soon here that I think is going to hook me in. But I was thinking about it this weekend while I was just chilling, because of course when Jen's in town, fuck my phone. I'm not, you know what I mean? She's the one I'm usually texting. So when I'm done, usually I'll text her. She's responding. She's going to do something. I'll hop over to Twitter. And I'm hopping so back and forth that I feel like I'm sinking so much time into looking at Reddit or looking at Twitter or looking at, and not even posting, just looking, not even answering things necessarily, that I'm like, I'm going to try to not turn it off, but like when I go home, maybe check it once before bed or something. Because it's getting to the point where I feel like, man, if I cobbled together all the time, I would have played probably more Gravity Rush, and I would have played more Yakuza, and I would have played more of ROM. You know what I mean? Like, I need to figure that out. I feel like there's got to be a balance.
Yeah, it's for me. I mean, we've talked about similar things many times in the show.
Time management.
I love this stuff. So it's like I don't necessarily. I think that there is a line where it becomes a problem, but I think that people like to kind of create these scenarios where they feel like they're better than other people, where it's just like, well, you're just addicted to your phones, and it's like, you're okay. Well,
I'm addicted to talking
go
with
do
my
something
friends
with
and
your
seeing
life.
them.
You know what I
But
mean?
the thing about it for me is I'm not throwing stones and saying like this, right? For me, it's just that I feel like my quality time has gone down. I feel like I used to be all over it and making better posts and doing better things, but now I'm checking even if I'm not posting or responding to comments or whatever.
Yeah, it's. I had to move all of my social apps into a folder like on a third page of my phone because it was just every fucking it was every time I had to check Twitter, check Snapchat, you know what I mean? It like OCD kicks in so hard if you have those tendencies.
Yeah.
That I had to hide it because if I see it, I'll have to check it. So doing that, I don't check my socials as much. Sorry guys, if anybody's trying to tweet at me right now, but like I feel a lot better about my day, man. I just have, it's like a presence of mind thing.
Yeah.
You know, I feel that a lot because I try to do too much, as Tim knows. I try to do way too much, and it's like
all do.
it's a super fucking distracting thing.
Yeah.
It's just distracting. Like if you can manage that distraction, you'll get a lot more done and just be more present in your day. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So that's my.
But I mean, minimalism, back to that or whatever.
Yeah.
It is the thing of like, you know, I think for some, you know, it's funny living with Colin, of course, because Colin has like nothing except like his few shelves of toys. And I have more stuff and more statues and more comics. But even that, I still feel coming from the Midwest where I know my friends who have all this stuff, or not that I'm disparaging our fans, but when they send photos of why we love digital, why doesn't everybody love it? And they send walls of collector's edition. It's like, I feel like I'm running very low in terms of what I'm going. And I always talk about like the Funko Pops. Like I only buy a Superman Funko Pop or a Batgirl if I really like it. But like I'm not, if that Funko Pops would have come out when I was in high school, I'd have every motherfucking one of those things and have them in all these different rooms and all these different things. But that, I think part of it is San Francisco and the fact that we do have to share an apartment and we do have so much less space.
Yeah. This whole minimalism thing, this documentary is definitely making the rounds, and I've heard it in multiple groups now come up. And so earlier I had a moment where I was like, oh, fuck, this is the same thing everyone's talking about. I feel like it's the new vegan. It's the new thing where it's like, I'm a minimalist, and people like kind of take pride in that shit. Because multiple people I know are like committing to that, and they're like defining themselves as minimalists.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm not trying to talk shit about it. Like, cool,
No,
that's you.
it's
do
definitely
you.
a movement. There's definitely a movement happening in our culture today, which is a direct correlation or backlash from the pace and the level of consumerism that we've all become, right? And that movement, I mean, you hear it too in a more spiritual sense, or maybe a little bit more, I guess, like mental sense. People talk about mindfulness, right? And I think those kind of go hand in hand, which is like, how do you just take a moment to just focus on the present right now and not worry about all the shit you should have had or done or what you're gonna do, right? And I think that minimalism kind of ties into that, where you see like I would probably count myself amongst the minimalists. I'm not going to go out and like live in a fucking house that's the size of a small compact car or anything like that. But you've been to my house. We have a whole room that has a fucking yoga mat in it.
I mean, Nick's house it's the most minimalist thing you can possibly have. Like,
Yeah.
How much is your wife though? How much that's the wife?
a lot of it was my wife.
Because I remember when you brought home the 1989 Batman, she was like, so what's this?
She's like, Batman and Wolverine. No, we're good. No, my wife started it, right? And that was one of the things that I learned when I moved in with her, was I had all these DVDs and books and all this stuff that I thought that, like, I don't know why I had it. I don't know why I was collecting it. I don't know why that was happening in my life. It's just something that I'd always done. And it wasn't until she said, you know, you don't have to have this stuff. Like, you can keep just the books that you really love, that are these cherished moments, but you don't need your textbooks from college anymore. You don't need the DVD collector set of these movies that you're never going to watch again, especially since there's Blu-ray now and like streaming. You just don't need this stuff. Like, and so when I moved in with her, I was like, why do I have this weird anxiety about throwing this shit out or giving it to Goodwill? And she's like, well, we got to ask yourself that. Like, where does that come from? What is that about? And when I did it, when I finally was like, I don't need this stuff. Like, I don't need to clutter my life with things just for the sake of having or owning. I literally had, my happiness level went up. Because I was like, I don't have to worry about that. It's one less thing I have to worry about that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter that I have 14 books on my shelves that no one ever sees because I don't have people over my house anyway. Like, I don't remember what's in these books.
Yeah.
Who am I trying to be?
Yeah.
You know? Oh, I read the fucking The Invisible Man when I was in high school. Like,
I touched
I don't
that
remember
thing.
what that fucking thing's about. You know? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think there is something to it, though.
There definitely is, and I mean, I think that we're in an interesting point now with the digital versus physical conundrum that keeps coming up, whether it's movies or music or video games, where a lot of people that have collected games for years are at a point where, or collected whatever media it is, have hit a point where it's like the developers aren't even making everything available physically. Like, I mean, even with music, there's so many EPs that there is never a CD that comes out because, like, to the artist, why would they do that? Because they're not going to make money from it and all that. And there's so many layers to it, but it's like, that's hard to wrap your head around, because when you enjoy collecting the things, you want that stuff and you feel like you're missing out on it. And there is like something in your mind where just you like it, it's like that. The collecting is what makes you happy.
So I think, I forget, I don't think it was in this documentary. I think I just heard it someplace, but there was someone talking about, it might have been on a podcast I was listening to, talking about vinyl and how vinyl's like making a weird resurgence now.
Yeah, you can't, if especially with the recent release, like if you put in an order now, it takes like 3 times as long now, because everybody and their mother is pressing vinyl, and there's a limited amount of plants.
But that's crazy, right? That is a direct like pushback to the ease of which you can get everything, right? It's society going, wait, like maybe we want that thing that was like tangible and physical, and like we could hold.
It's that niche, right? Of like, it is collecting things, it is holding things, and it's like, I don't want, for me, my collecting traits, right? Like comics, I stayed away from comics and famously, because everyone knows this story. No, it's bullshit. I stayed away from comics until they went digital, right? That was my thing. I used to tweet all the time at DC Comics, go digital, go digital. And when they finally did, I was all in, and I'm fine with that. But I still buy every Walking Dead trade paperback, even though month to month I'm buying the digital version of the book. I was already 19, 17 trade paperbacks in before I started using Comixology. So I was like, well, I got to keep this going.
Keep going.
I got to keep this going.
Kevin with his Simpsons DVD collection.
Right.
Like, why are you still buying the DVD versions of Simpsons, but you fucking love it?
You got to
Dude,
finish.
Tim.
But
they stopped. Season 17 is the last one.
They stopped making DVDs?
The Simpsons seasons.
That sucks. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you spend all this time collecting. Like, my most prized possession, my Fast and Furious Steelbook Blu-ray collection. Like, the day that Best Buy decides not to do that style, I'm gonna fucking die inside.
Right. Yeah, it's weird, and that was the thing. You're talking about your DVDs. When I first moved in with Colin, I was just I had a trunk full of DVDs. And finally, I was like, "Fuck, I gotta do." And I whittled it down and kept like all my Kevin Smith one and all my Zombies one. I think. But I was looking over it yesterday on the shelf because it's piled up with all these PS3 games I never play anymore. And it was like it's all sun faded now. I looked over it like them because the sun's been hitting. It's just like, when am I going to watch the Dogma DVD again? Not that I don't love Dogma, but like, is it probably on demand? And if not, I could, or on Netflix, and if not, buy it off Amazon and do whatever.
I feel like every couple of years, like there'll be some event in my life, whether it's like moving my room or moving to a different building or just something, just cleaning and like refreshing, where I prune through stuff. And every single time I get rid of things that the last time I was like, oh, I'll never get rid of this.
Yeah.
And it's weird where it's like looking at like my PS2 game collection, right? Like I eventually traded in a whole bunch of them to get my PS3, but there's certain games where I'm like, these mean something to me. Like this copy of Amplitude, I'm never gonna get rid of because it is special. But it's like this copy of Grand Theft Auto. If I ever needed another one, I can just buy it on Amazon if I wanted, even the collector shit. But like every year, I feel like it's whittled down more and more and more.
Yeah.
And there's very few things that I'm like, I will never get rid of these that I believe that I'll never get rid of.
But sorry to interrupt you. Is that what does that stem from? Right? What does it stem from? Because realistically, you're probably never going to go back and play those games, right?
To me, I really do think it. And the reason I brought up social media earlier is I think it's the same thing. It's like you're kind of creating the person you want to be via what you have. So you're defining sort of a little bit of yourself through those material through
objects.
the things. It's like if someone were to like walk into my room or like look at a picture of my room or whatever, I get what Tim's about. Like I'm down with this shit.
Sure.
And I think there's an extra layer too where it's kind of you're convincing yourself of who you are through this stuff. Like you're trying to decide like these are the things that I stand by and these are the things that I value. Yeah. And I think that there's an actual monetary value that you assign to it, where that's why collector's editions work for games or movie, actually anything, where it's like you will pay over double the admission price to whatever it is for some shit that you don't even want, just because you're like, I really like this shit. Yeah. And I support this shit. And me having this statue that is cheaply made and a piece of shit in my room is going to make me feel like I really, I support it. I support this because this
I'm that big of a
me.
fan.
I am this person. Yeah, you know? And so it's like you're kind of putting money and time and literal space in your house towards something that you feel is creating who you are.
You're making a shrine, basically.
Yeah. You know, and it's like that. My brother's like he to this day collects things. Like while I stopped and kind of moved on and like I'm too busy to even do that shit. I'm just kind of like living my life at this point, and social media is my vice with that stuff. Like he's continued. So whenever I go back to my mom's house and look, he has all my shit that I've collected just displayed. Wow. You know,
his shrine to Tim.
Like, I mean,
he's collecting Tim.
But it's great. I mean, we there's so much overlap between me and his interests and stuff. But like Q and 5, like the amount of vinyls and CDs and shit. Like my brother has so much shit autographed and just like has a wall of all this shit. And it's awesome. Like he stands. I mean, when I go back, it's like it's not only nostalgic, but it's like, oh yeah, like it does make you kind of feel proud to be like, I do have all this shit. Yeah, you know, like I was there. I made sure that I pre-ordered day one. Like I made sure that I was on the up and up, not just of getting it, but like knowing it was happening. Right? Sure. And it's not just the music, like with games and stuff, being able to see the collections I have where I'm like, yeah, these are the collector's editions. They're not the greatest hits version. There's no fucking ugly green stripe on it. Like I was there.
It feels important for timeline. And I think for like the example right now is that, I'd been buying indefinitely the Invincible hardcover Ultimate Collections because I love Invincible, right?
Shit is so good.
And so now that Invincible's going to end, we are into the 12 final issues of this. It's like, oh, yeah, it's actually kind of awesome. I have these because now I'm going to read. I'm going to sit there and read them all. Leading up to the final thing. So there is a point to it in the end, but there is so much time.
That's interesting. For me, I think that's where I came to that point where I'm like, the only reason I'm keeping these things is because of the fear of missing out. Of like that one time where I'm like, I really want to watch Big Trouble in Little China right now. Oh, it's there. It's on my shelf, right?
Exactly.
But what I think really kind of was good for me was when streaming became a real option where I was like, oh, I can just let go of that. Like, it's always there. And if it's not there, there'll be something else that I want to watch. Like, I don't, it's freeing. It's very liberating to be like, what was I? I went to look for something on Amazon the other night, and licensing wise, sometimes it's on Amazon, but it'll be there. It's always there. Then you click into it, and it's like, oh, ways to watch, and then sometimes you just can't watch it, and I'm like, oh, I can't watch that thing. Oh well.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's it.
I'll find something else to fucking occupy
when I got the 10-year all-in-one Smallville, DVD thing, I was like, awesome. Now, mind you, I owned all the Smallville season collections through like 5 or 6, and I was like, I gotta stop, and I sold them all or whatever. And then when I got the giant collection all in one, I was like, yeah, and watched 2 episodes on disc 1 and never have popped back in because I'm also now lazy. I'm like, I don't want to put another disc in.
Yeah, it's like a pain in the ass.
Exactly.
Now. Yeah, I had this whole DVD collection. I mean, a wall of DVDs, and I just put them all in a fucking box and got rid of them because they're low res and I can't watch shit anymore.
We're all spoiled.
And so now I got to rebuy this shit in 4K eventually, and then 6K or whatever they come out with. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the cycle. I mean, so for me, the real, I think I have an issue with this in a way that you guys don't. When it's not even collecting physical shit, it's collecting digital shit. You might when it comes to like PlayStation games or something like that. But like for me, my most prized possessions, like if my house was on fire and I had to get something, it'd be my hard drives. Like I need that shit because whether it's pictures or
and you have videos,
but it doesn't exist.
But that's the thing. Yeah. But it's like the amount of time, especially like I'm talking 2005 to 2012, like when torrenting was huge and the HD was first becoming a thing, an HD video, and you can download stuff. Like I would just spend days and days and days downloading movies, downloading music, downloading everything just because I wanted to have it and I wanted it to be as organized as possible. I wanted access to it. And this is before streaming. Yeah. But I just kept going and going. I wanted every Disney movie. I wanted every Pixar movie. I wanted every Fast and Furious movie.
You would tag them?
It had to be tagged. It had to be, everything had to be named.
In its own folder.
In its own folder. Parentheses, is it 1080p or is it 720p? I wanted to know all that shit. And when it comes to music, like music was the thing I was like even more crazy about. Buy the physical, rip it myself.
Yeah, I remember this.
Rename it all myself. And it's like intricate folders and shit. And it's like, it's just crazy that these are files that don't exist. But then there's that fear of Like for a lot of it, it's like, all right, cool, I can always re-rip it or I
Right.
can always find it again. But there's certain stuff, especially when you are into like weird niche shit, where you're like, if I
gone.
lose this, I'm never getting this.
gone.
You know, like random ass Eminem freestyles that he did, who the fuck knows where, and you got an MP3 on Napster one time.
Yeah.
If you don't get that, you can't Google it and find it.
Well, it's
you know?
like, when we moved digital, right? When everything started going digital with photos, like if the transition, from college with digital photos into this, I at some point got rid of my computer when I was working at IGN. So I put all of my digital photos and digital movies on my PS3. So all of my media from like before I have an iPhone and between graduating or being in college and getting a digital camera and before getting the iPhone is all on this PS3. And Kevin wanted to borrow it once for his like brother's sleepover or whatever. And I was like, sure. And I was like, wait, no. I can't lend this out because what if something happens at that sleepover to this thing when they're trying to, not that I'm worried about them deleting it, but what if the PlayStation 3 just dies? And of course I put it down and I've never picked it back up to back up or do anything with.
It's the fear.
Yeah, of course.
It's the fear of losing it. Even though losing it wouldn't be the end of the world, it wouldn't even be a problem.
But that's the thing, right? Losing I tweeted this out the other day and I was just joking around, but it's on a micro level the same thing. It's when you have like 15 tabs open on your browser and your computer crashes.
Yeah.
And then you have that option when you restart to restore that session or not restore that session. If you hit don't restore, it's liberating. You're like, I don't
start anew.
Yeah, you're like, I don't, because I'm not gonna I don't need to read that article
Yeah.
on 2Filter about fucking PewDiePie. It's 2 weeks old. He already
tried it.
fucking didn't shut that channel down or whatever. It doesn't matter anymore, right? It's all gone.
Yeah,
Tone, final thoughts.
it's really scary. No, I mean, I have, I think about that all the time. I have digital files, as a musician. I ran a hip hop label for almost 18 years, and all of that is just existing on hard drives. And no matter what I do, like that's gone forever if there's some weird like electromagnetic current that wipes it all out.
Right.
Like just to think that your entire life's work can be gone like
Sure.
that, and there's no physical evidence that it existed to me is so fucking scary.
Terrifying.
Like painting still exists in museums. Like
Yeah.
that painting will always exist, even if it's dirty or burned. It exists in some way.
Right.
In this era as an artist, is it forever? I think that's the reason why shit is so disposable now.
Sure.
Yeah.
And why nobody cares about anything and everything's so nihilistic in terms of the arts is because the second it's gone, and nothing means anything anymore. And I hate that. I hate that, guys. Let's fight against it, guys. Let's make physical things.
yeah.
Let's make statues.
We'll start putting
Rocks.
all the Kind of Funny vids will now be released on VHS. If you didn't know, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show, and all the names that have been scrolling here are people who supported us on Patreon last month. Thank you so much for that. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes 5 friends, sometimes 4 friends gather around this table, each bringing a random topic
Threw me off,
discussion.
Greg.
I know, you like that?
I got it though.
You did.
Yeah.
For your amusement. If you like that, you can head over to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Support us like these folks did. Get Kind of Funny Live 2 access early right now. See Tonedeff tear the place down. Have a whole bunch of cool, fun, exclusive content there. Or wait until we break it out topic by topic, day by day, the next week on youtube.com/kindoffunny. And on that Friday, then everything goes up as one big video in MP3. Tone, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people enjoy your content again?
Tonedeff.com. TONEDEFF.com. Everything is there. Check it out.
And remember, the Patreon exclusive for February will be a one-on-one with Tim and his hero, Tonedeff.
It should be fun.
Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
This episode brought to you by Patsy's Vodka
They really
Sauce.
didn't sponsor us. Don't give them.
But
I
they're
mean,
so
go
nice.
see it.
They're so
Well, in the
nice.
end, they were nice.
I'll give it to
If you
him.
want really Italian, really expensive Italian food, go for it.
Yeah, I know. Good Lord.